Diego Chargers versus the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Every Sunday since the 1971 season, this stadium has been sold out, and today it is no different. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Joel Myers, and welcome to Three Rivers Stadium in Pittsburgh. As two teams from the AFC that failed to make the playoffs last year get together on this opening Sunday of the season. San Diego Chargers finishing at 6-10 last year, the third straight season with that record. And the Pittsburgh Steelers last year at 9-7, but only 2-4 within their own division, so they failed to make the playoffs. Joining us is the newest member of our NBC NFL Announce team, one of the most dominant defensive linemen over the past decade, performing for the Chicago Bears from 1979 until last season, a future Hall of Famer. My new partner this year, Dan Hampton. Dan, welcome aboard. The big story out of San Diego, the quarterback situation, the trade of Billy Joe Tolliver to the Atlanta Falcons, and John Freeze, the new starter.
Well, that's right. This week, John Freeze was named the starter. Last year's starter, Billy Joe Tolliver, was traded to Atlanta. Going into last week's preseason finale, they said they wanted to look for some separation between the two. But they think they can get it with John Freeze.
The kickoff by Gary Anderson deep into the end zone. And the touchback for Donnie Elder. So we are underway in Pittsburgh. And the Chargers start with the ball 1st and 10 at their own 20-yard line. Charger offense sputtered last year with Billy Joe Tolliver. Their defense, one of the very best in the NFL. And now John Freeze at the controls. Behind the offensive line, a very young group and a big one. Swain Moten, Courtney Hall, David Richards, and Broderick Thompson. As Hall, last year, you might remember, started at the guard position. Derek Walker, the H-back in motion. Rod Bernstein, the first carry of the year. Across the 25 as he belted down at the 26-yard line. Now we look at the rest of the San Diego offensive 11 now. We saw that big offensive line. Greg Lloyd with the hit for the Steelers. And to the backfield with John Freeze, the H-back Derek Walker. Rod Bernstein gets the start of Vermirion Butts, who just came to the camp this past Monday. Miller and Nate Lewis, the wide receivers. And the tight end, 265-pound Arthur Cox. Flags into the air on 2nd and 4. Well, saw plenty of flags during the preseason, and it starts early today, as it looks like the left tackle, Harry Swain, may have lifted up a little bit too early, Dan.
Well, I think early in the season, you're going to see a little bit of this. You think you'd get it out of your system in the preseason.
Number 72, false start, 5 yards,
Jerry Austin, our referee. And it was Harry Swain with the early jump for San Diego.
You talk about 5 weeks of waiting for this opening bell or the first gun to go off, and these guys are pretty emotional at this point, and it takes a little bit of time to get down to basics and forget about that adrenaline that you feel.
Call it 2nd and 9 with Arthur Cox setting up on the left side now. The motion man out of the backfield, the H-back Derek Walker. And the first pass attempt for Freeze is on target. He's short of the first down. David Johnson corralling the wide receiver. That's Anthony Miller. 63 catches last year for San Diego. Defensively, the front 7 for the Pittsburgh Steelers, Willis, Williams, and Jones. Hinkle, Nickerson, Olszewski, who gets the start for David Little, and Greg Lloyd, the linebackers. But they go to their dime. Lloyd goes to a downline position. Hinkle, the only linebacker. Shelton and Griffin, the extra defensive back. Joining the regular in the secondary, Johnson, Woodson, Lake, and Everett. 8 yards on the reception. Freeze fumbles. Pittsburgh's got it. On 3rd and 1, Freeze just pulled away too quickly.
When we talked about John Freeze, we said a guy that would not make some mistakes. He felt like he could go out and let his offensive players around him, that surround him, do all the things that he'd have to do to be effective. Unfortunately, he's got to avoid mistakes like that.
Greg Lloyd on the fumble recovery.
Never got his hands on the ball squarely where he can make the good, solid handoff. That is exactly the way you don't want to start a season if you're the first-time starter for a young team that feels a lot of pressure to win.
And that's exactly what Dan Henning told us yesterday as we look at the third-year head coach of the San Diego Chargers. He didn't want John Freeze to win the game for the Chargers. He didn't want him to lose it, though, by making mistakes.
That'll kill you.
It's at the 27 of San Diego, 1st and 10. Harry Foster breaking tackles. Foster getting the start. Ahead of Tim Worley, has the first down.
Joel, the thing they like about Barry Foster is he's a very, very powerful player. He can break tackles. He loves to run inside. He likes to put those shoulders down, get them square to the line of scrimmage, and really try to make something happen. Very, very strong player. Great leg drive.
Experienced but small group offensively on the line for the Steelers. Jackson, Blankenship, Dawson, Hasselrig, and Elkin. Elkin with the most experience. Brister joined by Hodge and Foster in the backfield. Lips and Stone, the wideouts, and Malarkey, the tight end. They go to a 2 tight end set now. Single to the backfield, Merrill Hodge on 1st and 10 from inside the 16 of San Diego. Hodge, not much. He's put down by the nose tackle, Joe Phillips. Now when the Chargers, or make it the Steelers, go to their passing situations on 2nd and long, 3rd and long. Stone will leave, and believe it or not, they like to go to a double tight end set to throw the ball. They'll bring in Eric Green, who's more than just a tight end. He can do a little bit of everything. Sensational second-year tight end who goes at 6'5", 285 in his second year out of Liberty. 2nd and 8, the ball at the 13-yard line. And Malarkey goes in motion. The pitch for Foster, and he fumbles the ball. It's on the ground, and I believe Pittsburgh got it back. Yes. John Jackson, very alert offensive lineman, the left tackle, grabbing the ball.
The Chargers are very excited about number 55, Junior Seau. Here he gets upfield, creates a turnover by just more or less overpowering the chop block and getting his hands up and knocking the ball loose.
Big loss back to the 17-yard line. Ernie Mills coming into the contest now. Their 3rd-round pick this year, the rookie from Florida. He sets up on the same side as Louis Lips. And on the opposite side to double up with Callaway and Dwight Stone. Brister out of the shotgun, wanted to run it, and knifing through. And making the big play, Leslie O'Neal. Another loss, back to the 21. So the Chargers defense coming up big early.
Well, I think they have a few questions to answer, and I think they've done a great job this first series of getting the Steelers stopped deep in their own territory. You know, when you trade a guy like Lee Williams, you've got a lot of question marks. Because you talk about Lee Williams, you think, what a great pass rusher. He was also a terrific run defender. And that is where the San Diego has to concentrate on. They have got to stop the run to be an effective defense.
It's going to be a 38-yard attempt for Gary Anderson. He was perfect in the preseason, 9 of 9 out of the hold of Dan Straczynski. And now he is 10 of 10. 1 for 1 so far during the regular season. A 38-yard field goal by Anderson. They capitalize on the fumble. And the Steelers with a 3-0 lead over the Chargers. Mean Joe Green, the defensive line coach for the Pittsburgh Steelers, 2nd on their all-time sack list. Dan, when we were talking to Mean Joe yesterday, he said he's having almost as much fun coaching as playing. He says it's a lot better on Monday and Tuesday, especially.
Well, he doesn't have as much of a problem trying to walk around. But the thing about Joe Green, he brought such a great attitude to the game, and I think he's trying to get his young guys to feel the same way about it.
Donnie Elder, back deep, he'll take it at the 6-yard line, along with Nate Lewis. Elder taking it past the 20 to the 22. So a return of 16 yards brought down by Gerald Williams. This return package unit for the San Diego Chargers tops overall in the NFL last year, averaging just about 22 yards per try. John Freeze back onto the field after fumbling the ball away. It's got to be a boost, though, for the defensive unit to get the ball back for the offense so quickly and force Pittsburgh to settle for only 3.
Well, you got to think that it's almost like a moral victory. Giving up 3 points isn't great, but you didn't give up the touchdown, and that's what they have to avoid, is giving away cheap points.
The young man from Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, in only his 2nd season in the NFL today, making his 2nd career start. 1st and 10 to 22, the counter, play action rather. And he's throwing up top for Anthony Miller, overshooting him. Ron Woodson on the coverage.
At first glance, that may look like a bad pass, but in actuality, that was a great pass because the defender had such great position. He threw it to the only place where Anthony Miller could get the ball and not the defender. A little bit of heat never seems to allow you to set your feet, and unfortunately, the tendency is to throw the ball high. But I think that wasn't a bad first pass.
Kenny Davidson applying that heat. They are deep on the defensive front 3 for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Don't have a lot of sack specialists, one dominant defensive down lineman, but they do have 6 they can go to. Nate Lewis in motion on 2nd and 10. Rod Bernstein spinning for only a couple with flags down on the play. So Dan, the offensive unit for the San Diego Chargers, stuttering at the outset.
Well, I think all the times that you have a chance to...
Illegal motion, number 81, 5 yards, still second down.
The quarterback has obviously a little bit of a situation where he's got butterflies, and the other guys, they want everything to go so smoothly. Sometimes you can press.
Nate Lewis called on the illegal motion starting towards the line of scrimmage. The motion man a little bit early.
Well, as the left side of your screen, you'll see the receiver turn upfield a little bit prematurely. You've got to wait until the ball is snapped before you make an advance at the line of scrimmage. It was a good call.
And now, Jerry Austin and his crew want to talk it over once again with the line judge. There's 10 minutes and 1 second left in the first quarter of play. A 3-0 Steeler lead. And now we're ready to go on 3rd and long for San Diego. It's not what Dan Henning wants for his quarterback, 3rd and long.
Well, I think it's a hole that you have very little chance of getting out of against the Pittsburgh Steelers. They like to drop back in a soft zone and come up and give you a good whap if you try to catch the ball underneath them.
They bring in McEwen and put him in motion. Coming to the same side as Nate Lewis on 3rd and 8. Pocket holds up for Freeze, has a man, and Nate Lewis is hit in a hurry. No flag on the play, though, as it looked like Rod Woodson may have gone through the receiver before the ball got there.
Ron Woodson, one of the finest quarterbacks in the entire NFL, if not one of the greatest to ever play the position here in Pittsburgh. He's the type of player that you can build a defense around. Freeze goes back, sets his feet, picks his target, throws the ball perfectly. Unfortunately for the San Diego offense, a guy like Woodson's going to make an awful lot of great plays like that to stop a great throw and a great route.
John Kidd ready for his first punt of the 91 season. And Rod Woodson waiting back deep for the Steelers. The dangerous one at the 31-yard line. No pressure on the punter. And he turns over a beauty, driving Woodson back to his own 23. He got away from Donnie Elder. And Woodson with a nifty return across the 35 up to the 40-yard line. 14 yards on the return for Rod Woodson after a 53-yard punt by John Kidd.
Woodson holding out this preseason for a big contract. I think he shows you exactly why he demands a big contract. He can do so much, and it's a big part of this Steeler defense.
Autumn is in the air on an absolutely perfect day at Three Rivers Stadium in Pittsburgh. Welcome back once again. Joel Myers along with Dan Hampton. A 3-0 Steeler lead. They've got it first and 10 at their own 40. Brister waiting for things to set up to Barry Foster, and lucky to get 4 yards out of a very slow developing play as Junior Seau took care of business once again.
You talk to these guys, they think Junior Seau could be one of the most dominant inside linebackers in the league. He's got that great strength, great range, and he's got a great attitude this year, something he didn't really possess when he came to camp last year.
First-round draft choice last season out of USC, 6'3", 250-pounder. What impresses me the most, Dan, is the way he pursues the ball so quickly. He flat-out flies for a linebacker.
He's got some jets.
Second, just about 5 yards to go for the Steelers. Hodge staying in the backfield with Barry Foster. Foster on the call again. And he dives ahead close to the first down marker.
I think this is what Pittsburgh has to do to be effective. They've got to run the ball right at San Diego because that's what they've done for so long, and they're very, very good at it. You see here, they run a little trap, and they fold back to the left side. They bring Foster in real tight, right up the middle, and they isolate on the linebackers. I think that's the way they like to see the offense run here in Pittsburgh because, I mean, it won 4 Super Bowls for them. Chuck Noll is going to go with something that's more or less got into the dance.
When we met with Barry Foster yesterday, I couldn't believe how thick he was in the shoulders and the neck area.
You almost need to put a yoke on him instead of a helmet.
Third and short, and Foster lunging ahead. Does have that first down to the 49-yard line of San Diego. Junior Seau again on the stop. And I know a very special moment for all of you. Our first look this year at the NBC 10-minute ticker. New Orleans with a touchdown, a late pass from Bobby Hebert, just edging out Seattle by 3. Kansas City was down 3-0 at halftime. They win by 11 over Atlanta. Philadelphia, despite the fact that Randall Cunningham went down and was helped off the field, won by 17 at Green Bay. A 26-14 win for the Cowboys over Cleveland, despite the fact that Cleveland got the first touchdown of that game. And in the late starts today, Houston with an early lead over the Raiders, and Minnesota with a field goal lead over your former Chicago Bears. Denver on top of Cincinnati. And Phoenix leading the L.A. Rams. Brister on 1st and 10, going deep for Dwight Stone. Batted away by Gilbert down at the 10-yard line.
Great pressure by Leslie O'Neal on Bubby Brister. Although that was a great defensive play, I think the Steelers feel like they can go up top and go up top early. More or less capitalize on the very young safeties of San Diego. Here you'll see Brister set, plant, throw the ball very well. Great defensive play by Gilbert. He's one of the finest cornerbacks out there in the AFC West. But I think Steelers feel like they can pound the ball, and once the Chargers start looking for that, they'll go up top.
2nd and 10, the ball at the San Diego 49-yard line. They double Callaway on the same side as Louis Lips. Go the opposite side with Merrill Hodge for good yardage on the ground. And a 7-yard carry for Merrill Hodge. Their starting fullback tripped up by Henry Rohrling. Not that fast, Dan, but he is the complete package. A good back out of the backfield to catch the ball for Bubby Brister.
Well, I think if you look at the Steeler roster on offense, you're not going to see a great deal of speed. You know, I think what Chuck Noll wants to do is get a bunch of dependable diesels. That's what he talks about. I want some dependable guys that can show up 16 games a year, guys that I can count on to be really chugging hard late in the 4th quarter.
Barry Foster right now, they're really speed out of the backfield. They're the only one with a good burst of quickness out of the backfield.
He and Lips are the only 2 guys on the offense that have that type of speed that you look for.
3rd and short, 3rd and 3 out of the shotgun. Brister with time, and it's picked off by Gilbert. He was going for Louis Lips, intercepted by Bird. And Gilbert, who has picked up 21 interceptions over the last 3 seasons, more than any defensive back in the NFL, has his first in 1991. The San Diego secondary led the AFC last year with 24 picks.
Well, you'll see Brister is looking right at the receiver. He cannot do that, especially against the San Diego defense, because they are ball hawks. That is what they like to do. When Brister keeps his eyes focused on Lips for so long, you cannot do that, because, I mean, those guys get paid an awful lot of money to watch what you're watching.
Chargers have it back when we return. 1st and 10 for San Diego. Best field position to start a drive at their own 42-yard line. Bernstein met in the backfield by Aaron Jones. Never could get underway as he drops a couple of yards back to the 40-yard line. What a burst by Aaron Jones. He got the start today over Donald Evans.
Well, I think what Joe Green has done here is try to get him a bunch of guys that will penetrate, create a lot of opportunities for his linebackers. There, Jones more or less just makes a quick swim move to the inside, meets Bernstein in the backfield. All he has to do is wrap his arms up, and he makes a great play.
Loss at close to 2, 2nd and a dozen now, with the ball just outside of the 40-yard line. And that's not what they were looking for with John Freese at quarterback. He's in trouble. He's on his way down. Greg Lloyd with a sack. The ball is free. It's on the ground. Does Pittsburgh have it? No, Courtney Hall coming up with it. The center for the Chargers.
Well, if you're Dan Henning, you've got to make sure that you stress to these guys on offense, you've got to do something on 1st down. You can't put a young guy in a hole. Here, the coverage forces Freese to pull the ball back down. By then, it's too late. The pressure gets him down.
It's a loss all the way back to the 32-yard line, so it was 2nd and a dozen. Now it's 3rd and 19. Back outside of the 32. They really haven't given Freese a chance to work on 2nd and 5, 2nd and 4.
Well, that's what you have to be an effective quarterback in this league. You can't get in the hole.
3rd and 19, has no choice but to throw the ball. Woodson coming in a little bit early over the back of Nate Lewis and knocking it away from the wide receiver.
Well, I think sometimes your reputation precedes you. There, Woodson may have gotten away with a little bit of an infraction, getting there a little bit quick, but still, I don't know how long Freese is going to be a quarterback in this league, and he keeps picking on Rod Woodson, maybe the best in the business.
So on 4th down, John Kidd ready for his 2nd punt of the afternoon. Hit a 53-yarder his first time. Rod Woodson waiting back inside the Steeler 20. For the last few seasons, one of the best kickoff and punt return men in the NFL. He no longer handles the kickoff duties for Pittsburgh, but still back there on punt situations.
It's a great punt.
This time at the 22-yard line. They're sending it up for the left sideline. And the wall is is a nice one, as there's good field position again for Brister in the offense when they come back onto the field. A 17-yard return for Rod Woodson after a 45-yard punt by John Kidd. But can the Steelers capitalize on that great field position? They lead it by 3 as we come back to Three Rivers. For so many years, of course, the Pittsburgh Steelers had that stability at the quarterback position. 4 Super Bowl titles as they were led by quarterback Terry Bradshaw in the late 70s. All the way into the early 80s, finding John Stallworth in the Super Bowl against the Rams. Well, they floundered a little bit, too, looking for a quarterback, just like the San Diego Chargers. There was David Woodley. There was Mark Malone. Finally, they have found one in Bubby Brister, making his 4th straight season now as a starter for the Steelers.
Well, I think the coaching staff really likes Bubby Brister an awful lot. With Bubby, you've got a big guy that's smart. He likes to throw the ball, but he's confident in the running game. He's not going to try to be the big star and throw the ball 40 times a game. I think he's a guy they can win a lot of games with.
It's 1st and 10 for the Steelers, their 3rd offensive possession. Their own 39-yard line. Play action for Bubby Brister. They wanted to do a lot of play action because of the inexperience, and Gilbert has the interception. Took it away from the wide receiver. Bird with his 2nd of the early going. And the Chargers get it back deep in Steeler territory at the 29-yard line of Pittsburgh. He was going for Louis Lips, Dan.
Ladies and gentlemen, you have seen a big-time football play. This guy, Gilbert, has opened up this game with 2 fantastic plays. Reading the quarterback's eyes. Makes a great play, strips the ball loose from the receiver, and then keeps his concentration, keeping his hands up and his eyes on the ball. I'll tell you what. He's probably the most valuable offensive player the San Diego Chargers have up to this point.
Bernstein on the quick hitter, a huge hole up the middle, a first down for San Diego. That is their first down of the contest, and it comes 11 minutes into the game. Greg Lloyd finally wrapping up the running back. Maybe that's what they need to do, the quick count, the quick hitter.
Bernstein makes a big gain here by just doing something that San Diego did last year. That is coming up to the line of scrimmage, getting set, and coming off the ball. They've got big 300-pound guys up there. Bernstein's 250-plus. Give him the ball. Let him fall for 5 or 6 on first down, and take some pressure off of Freeze.
Bernstein on the carry once again, and trying to string it out to the wide side. Rod Woodson knifing through to make the stop. Marion Butts, if you're wondering about why Rod Bernstein gets the start, Marion Butts did not come into camp until last Monday for the San Diego Chargers. $80,000 in fines. He makes $250,000 a year. He was 3rd best in the NFL in rushing yardage last year, despite missing the last 2 games. And what you've got to like about the Chargers' backs, and there's Marion Butts. Butts, Bernstein, and Harmon combined for 455 carries last year, only fumbling the ball twice. And Butts never fumbled the ball.
Well, I think that's what they have to have, is a ground-oriented attack. Take the pressure off the quarterback. Let those big horses run.
Loss of 2, 2nd and 12. Freeze going up top and over the top of the hands of Derek Walker, the H-back. Good idea.
I think it was a great idea to run the H-back on a quick slant here. Unfortunately, Freeze throws it just a little bit high. You'll see that Freeze sets in the pocket very quickly. Sees the quick slant, throws the ball just a little bit out of the reach of his H-back, Walker.
Dan, you worked with the young quarterbacks coming in after Jim McMahon was replaced in Chicago, Harbaugh, Tom Zach. The quick 3-step drop and get rid of it. I think that would pay off early for San Diego.
I think they have to do that because Freeze getting sacked 10 times is not going to answer any questions.
3rd and a dozen. It's to the first one there, Brian Hinkle on the coverage for Pittsburgh. And it'll be a field goal try coming up for John Carney. And San Diego, they'll try to tie it up.
And talking to Arthur Cox, the big tight end, yesterday, he stressed the importance of the team rallying around John Freeze, taking the pressure off of him. Unfortunately, with some penalties and some drop balls, all they've done is create a lot more pressure for the young quarterback to thrive under.
It's a 36-yard attempt for John Carney. He was 19 of 21 last year. Did he push it wide right? Yes. So big chance wasted by San Diego on the 36-yard miss by Carney after the 2nd interception already by Gilbert. And the Steelers get a break. frustration for San Diego.
Looks like a good hold. Good form on the kick. Just left it out.
So Pittsburgh gets it back now, first and 10 to their own 20-yard line. Dan Henning talking it over. The backup quarterback, Bob Galliano, a Plan B signing, also right there. And on the counter, it's Barry Foster. Just barely getting out of the backfield, but he does get about 5 yards. As we head to New York now and check in for an NFL update with Marv Albert.
All right, Joel, the big NFL story. Earlier today on this play, Eagles quarterback Randall Cunningham suffered torn ligaments in his left knee. The latest word, he'll undergo an MRI examination as soon as possible. If surgery is required, it probably means he's out for the season. With Jim McMahon at quarterback, the Eagles beat Green Bay 20-3. Back to Joel and Dan.
Thank you, Marv. A 3-0 lead for the Steelers with 2 minutes left in the first quarter. So your old teammate, Dan, as Merrill Hodge looks for the first down on 2nd and 5 and gets a little bit more than 3, almost 4 up to the 29-yard line. Jim McMahon thrust into the spotlight now for Rich Kotite from the Philadelphia Eagles. As we look at the 10-minute ticker, New Orleans a winner by 3 over Seattle down at the Superdome. Kansas City want to know now with their win over Atlanta by 11. Philadelphia, you heard about Jim McMahon taking it over. 26-14 victory at Cleveland for Dallas. And New York got a win on a 40-yard field goal by Pat Leahy. And those updates, those early scores, Miami with a score at Buffalo. And a 7-0 advantage. And there's a surprise on the board right now. Phoenix on top of the LA Rams by 14. And did he get it or not? Diving for the first down, the running back. And I don't believe Barry Foster got there to the 30-yard line where he needed to go for that first down. Junior Seau stopping him in midair.
Rod Lynn, the defensive coordinator for San Diego, thinks Junior Seau, number 55, could be the most dominant player in the league if he continues to be focused and continues to work hard. The thing about moving him inside, and he doesn't really want to be an inside linebacker, is the fact that you can run away from a great player if he's on the outside, like Broderick Thomas or, say, Lawrence Taylor. But if you're inside, you can go sideline to sideline, and you can't get away from a guy like that.
Good point. As Dan Krasinski gets ready for his first punt of the year. Nate Lewis waiting back and calling for the fair catch, and now the fair catch is taken in by Gilbert. So a double fair catch. I don't want it, you take it. Bird will. Good hands. We've already seen that with the 2 interceptions. And what experience he lends. And we've been talking about those 2 safeties. The second-year man for the San Diego Chargers, Anthony Shelton, their strong safety, and Stanley Richard, their free safety, their first-round draft choice, the rookie from Texas. It has to help to have a Bird on one side and a Sammy Seal on the other side.
Well, maybe just a play on words. Bird is the old Bird in the backfield, and he's the kind of guy that has to give the leadership and make all the calls for those guys to be successful. Richards has a chance to be an outstanding player, but he has to gain experience and not get beat deep.
5th offensive possession already for the Chargers at their own 21-yard line. Pulling his way up the middle, Rod Bernstein close to a first down, out to the 31-yard line. Thomas Everett, the free safety, finally making the hit. He's a converted tight end. He is a load, a big one, just like Marion Butts. A lot taller than Butts, but still very difficult to bring down.
Well, Joe Green can't be very happy with the way that his defensive front is getting cave in, cave out on these running plays right at him. He feels like his defensive linemen need to bring a more aggressive attitude to the game. Something that he really felt like is the difference between a lot of players in the league. You've got to be able to refuse to be stopped. And that's what he wants to see those kids develop.
End of the first quarter, we'll be right back to Pittsburgh. There's been no continuity at all for San Diego Charger fans since Dan Fouts retired back in '87. They have had 6 starting quarterbacks: Laufenberg, Malone, Vlasic, McMahon, Billy Joe Tolliver, and this year it's John Freeze getting the start on opening day. And it doesn't help, Dan, when in the front office you go back to the '82 season for San Diego. They've had 3 different coaches since '82 and 4 different general managers.
Well, I don't think that quarterback, like you say, is the only place that they lack stability, but I think what you have to do is find a guy and stick with him. You saw what Bradshaw did. He won 4 Super Bowls, and he played for 12, 13 years. You've got to get a guy, give him a chance. You can't sink or swim in one game or one season. I think you have to give a guy time to develop. But unfortunately, San Diego feels so much pressure, sometimes they make a change prematurely.
Second and short, second and less than a yard of the first play of the second quarter for Freeze and the Charger offense with Cox going in motion. And it's Bernstein for the first down. Well, earlier today on NFL Live, Bill Parcells, Dan was talking about the quarterback quandary in San Diego. He was shocked, to say the least, that they would trade away Billy Joe Tolliver and go with a quarterback that has almost no experience. The only start for John Freeze was last year, the final game of the season against the LA Raiders.
Well, I think that, unfortunately, when you have a situation that has a lot of pressure develop around it, like Billy Joe Tolliver, the fans booed him in his last preseason game. It was almost like they wanted to take pressure off the entire team by getting rid of Billy Joe. And it's a situation that you really don't have a lot of winners in.
First and 10, and Freeze has the completion to Nate Lewis, just short of the first down marker. The reception good for 9 yards. That was a bullet to Nate Lewis, second leading receiver on the squad last year.
Lewis just comes off the ball and makes a quick little button hook. Freeze gets back, sets, and that's the thing you look for in a good quarterback. He gets back, he doesn't get rattled, he sets his feet, he fires and throws a strike. I think that Freeze is a quarterback that he has got to get a little bit of experience under his belt, and he's going to be a fine player. The thing I like is he hadn't broken down in his mechanics, even though he's had a real rough start here.
Second, less than a yard. Ball outside of the 42 of the Chargers, and they're throwing on second down to Anthony Miller. Single coverage on Rod Woodson, and they've got the first down on the short gain. I love what Rod Woodson said yesterday. You go up against a wide receiver like Anthony Miller, who he rates as one of the top 3 in the NFL. He said, here you're going up against a guy that runs a 4.2, 4.3 40. You're running backwards and trying to keep up with him going forwards.
Well, I think that's the great thing about playing cornerback. You can get a cushion. A guy like Willie Gault or Anthony Miller, these guys that can fly, you get back off of them. And right there, you saw Freeze take advantage of that cushion. But as Rod Woodson being one of the fastest players in the league, even he has to get back a little bit. But I don't think you can win many races when you have to back up and the other guy gets to run forward.
A couple of years ago, Rod Woodson finishing third in the NFL's fastest man competition on first and 10 as Rod Bernstein hurdling the pile in front and getting 3 to the 49 of Pittsburgh. Tripped up there by Hardy Nickerson. So both offenses having their problems in the early going. A 3-0 lead for the Pittsburgh Steelers. 12 minutes and 40 seconds left in the first half. And we've yet to see Marion Butts.
I think it won't be long before Butts comes in. He gives the offense a little bit more of a dimension. He's a little bit more of a slasher. Not just a big guy that can knock the pile back. He has a chance to get outside and make some more yardage.
The H-back in motion, Derek Walker. On second and long, Freeze up top to Anthony Miller. He is drilled as soon as he got it close to the first down marker by David Johnson. His second year as a starter, and that's got to help out John Freeze to get the little short passes going. That's what he did against the Raiders in the final preseason game. As David Johnson made the play on the last one, he hit his first 11, and most of them were 8 to 12 yards on the passes, and finished at 17 of 19 for better than 200 yards and a touchdown. That's how he won the starting quarterback job from Billy Joe Tolliver. He won it regardless of whether or not Tolliver was traded.
Well, I think accuracy is his forte. He's got to throw accurate passes. Not deep ones, just quick, accurate.
Third and less than a yard. At the 42, Bernstein belted, but spins free for the first down near the 40-yard line. He rolled off that hit by Hardy Nickerson. And things are heating up now, Dan, in the trenches.
Well, I think that the Steeler defense realizes that they have got their hands full with these big 300-pounders. They have Bernstein lead inside, Walker the H-back. I tell you what, there's an awful lot of meat out there on that field today. And you've got to think that the Steelers feel like they can stop the run by playing an awful lot of people on the line of scrimmage, as you saw there.
First and 10 at the 40-yard line. They move Arthur Cox this time. Freeze on the short trot, putting it up top and a little bit too early as Anthony Miller had the defensive back biting Rod Woodson, but the ball was already into the air. Let's get another update now. NFL Live and Marv Albert.
Well, Joel, it's been a rough day for quarterbacks. On this play, Dave Craig of Seattle suffered a broken right thumb in the game against New Orleans. According to the Seahawks medical staff, he will be out 8 weeks. Jeff Kemp finished up for Craig. Seattle lost to the Saints 27-24. Back to Joel.
So Randall Cunningham out for the Philadelphia Eagles, and now Dave Craig. A similar situation for the Seattle Seahawks. Second and 10, the ball to the 40-yard line of the Steelers for San Diego. And out of the backfield, Butts on his first carry of the day Manages to get close to the original line of scrimmage. Greg Lloyd knifing through, though, the first one in there. The linebacker for the Pittsburgh Steelers, but that shows you that great ball security of Marion Butts, who did not fumble last year. He was hit about 4 yards behind the line.
The thing about Butts is he's one of those big, strong guys, and he really makes sure that he doesn't lose the handle on the ball. I think that's one of the big turnovers in the game. Obviously, interceptions, fumbles, whatever. Fumble will kill you. Interceptions usually downfield. That's not so bad. But a fumble in the backfield, that could be the opposing team's touchdown.
3rd and 11 now. They are 1 of 5 on 3rd down conversions. Freeze, play action on the delay. And they move the pocket for Freeze, who has a man over the middle. Nate Lewis bringing it down. It was a little bit high, but he helped his quarterback out. And it's a first down for the Chargers inside the 30. Larry Griffin, the extra defensive back in there, making the hit.
If you talk about a play that gives you a lot of confidence as a quarterback, that will do it. When you throw in the middle of the field, a lot of things can happen, most of them bad. But here, Freeze sets his feet, throws the ball right at the receiver. Receiver goes up, makes a good catch, and comes down knowing that he's going to get bratted pretty good. That was a fine play.
Nate Lewis in his 2nd year from Oregon Tech, a 2nd-round pick last year. The give going to Marion Butts. Over the right side for a couple, not much more, and Jerry Olszewski making the stop, former Pitt Panther, along with Hardy Nickerson. Marion Butts in his 3rd year out of Florida State was never a starter at Florida State. And then he goes and sets a single-season Charger record with 1,225 yards on the ground last year.
One of the scouts I talked to said, if Bobby Bowden is so smart at Florida State, why didn't Marion Butts ever get to start?
Gain of 2. It brings up 2nd and 8 down at the 26-yard line of the Steelers. Hendrickson goes in motion. And here comes the pressure on Freeze, and he's on his way down. Greg Lloyd with a sack again.
Greg Lloyd is playing excellent. I've watched him on 4 or 5 different plays make very, very big plays. There's good pressure by the outside people, but Lloyd coming up the middle gets Freeze on the ground. You'll see him come around in a stunt. Here, number 65, David Caracas, goes a little bit too far down inside, getting sucked down by the flow of the interior rushman, leaving open the back door for Lloyd to come around and get the trap.
2nd sack of the season already for Greg Lloyd after 4.5 last year. And now 3rd and long once again. 3rd and 16 with the ball back at the 34-yard line. Delay to Ronnie Harmon. Can he break the tackle? No. Brian Hinkle had him around the ankle. But still a chance to tie it up with John Carney coming onto the field in the place-kicking unit. 10th year now for Brian Hinkle, the former Fighting Duck from Oregon. And his 8th straight season as a starter. They really do feel like that Greg Lloyd could be their big play man on defense, though.
Well, he certainly looks like he has the capability of making an awful lot of big plays for the Steeler defense. He's made 3 or 4 already. The game's not even at a half yet.
The longest field goal last year for Carney was 43 yards. This will be a 48-yard try. And it is bending inside the upright, and it's all even at Three Rivers Stadium. So Carney now 1 for 2 after missing a 36-yarder. He hits a long one, longer than anyone he completed last year, and it's tied at 3 with 7:29 left in the first half. Former Fighting Irish place kicker John Carney with a 48-yarder has just tied things up for the Chargers. And don't forget Notre Dame football coming to NBC Sports. All the thrills and excitement. It all starts next Saturday. The Indiana Hoosiers visiting South Bend to battle Coach Lou Holtz and the Fighting Irish. Coverage kicks off at 1 o'clock Eastern with Notre Dame Saturday. Carney belting this one well into the end zone. Well, you see it every week on college football, but you don't see enough NFL kickers booting it that far.
It was funny, when I was playing for Chicago, we had a guy named Kevin Butler. He was notorious for kicking the ball out of the end zone and not giving the opposing team a chance to run it back. He's had a big problem with that this year, and they've drafted a kid to try to replace him in the kickoff area. So you're right. You don't see that very often. That was a wonderful kick. And when you have returners like what the Steelers have, it just makes a lot of sense. If you can kick it out of the end zone, go ahead and kick it out. Don't give them a chance.
Steelers have it for the 5th time already in the first half. The last 2 possessions, last 3, they have not been able to pick up the first down. In fact, 2 of the 3 interceptions by Gil Byrd. And on the 1st and 10 carry, nothing doing. Only a gain of a yard to the 21-yard line. The running back taking it with Barry Foster. Carlton Hasselrig, the right guard. A 6-time NCAA wrestling champion, getting his first start his NFL career in his second season. 6 times the winner in the heavyweight division. And you can't do that any longer, but the reason Hasselrig could do it, he went to a Division II school. And when he won that title, then he had an automatic berth in the NCAA Division I finals. Brister throwing on 2nd and long, 2nd and 9. Big cushion for Dwight Stone, working on Sammy Seal, and he's got the first down across the 30. Out to the 33-yard line.
You know, Bubby didn't have a touchdown pass in the preseason, and his rating was pretty bad. But, you know, the coaches said, hey, this guy is really having a good camp. And we watched some film on him, Joel, and you saw it as I did. He's throwing the ball very well. I think Bubby just needs to get his team off to a quick start. He likens it to a race where he feels like if they wait until October, November to try to make something happen, they'll be back mired in the divisional race. They'd like to get out to a quick start and put this thing out of the way early.
They got off to a very slow start last year, 1-3. They finished the final month of the season at 3-1, but it wasn't enough. The pitch for Foster. Good pursuit along the defensive front. And a loss back to the 30-yard line, a loss of 2 yards. Leslie O'Neal over on that side, wrapping up the running back. You look at the last 2 years for the Pittsburgh Steelers. It's been tough on Chuck Noll, a 3-5 record. They cannot afford that kind of start this year because within their own division last year, Dan, they were 2-4. You look, they're at Buffalo next week, then New England back here. We'll be here a couple of weeks from now. Philadelphia on the 22nd before an open date on the 29th. The worst they should be is 2-2, and I think that's the way the Steelers feel as well.
Well, I think getting off to a poor start does more than just turn the hair of the head coach gray. It creates an awful lot of pressure. You don't really want to have the quarterback or an offense or the entire team.
Stone on the reception on 2nd and a dozen. He's got it past the 38-yard line where he's hit by Sam Seal. And on the 10-minute ticker, some of those late afternoon games, Miami taking the lead over Buffalo once again. Houston shutting out the L.A. Raiders and Jay Schrader. Minnesota leads your former teammates, Dan, by 3 in the second quarter. And other scores around the NFL. John Elway has Denver, surprisingly, over Cincinnati, but it's still the first half, of course. Rams finally get on the board, and it's all even at Indianapolis. So now it brings up a 3rd and 4. With the ball at the 38. Out of the shotgun, play action for Bubby Brister and a wide-open Callaway. The young man from Michigan, Chris Callaway, 4th-round draft choice last year, with the first down. And I think the play action created that wide-open receiver.
Well, you'll see Callaway come back inside in motion. They'll give it like a counter fake away. Brister rolls out, and what they do with all this motion is try to create mismatches. There, Callaway got lost in the shuffle and was able to go for good yardage, some 15 yards or so, because the safety that was covering him, Richards, got lost. You'll see number 24, Richards, try to catch him. Actually, that's Gil Byrd. But all that motion does is create doubt in the defense's mind, and then you can get a mismatch in some place.
It's at the 48 of San Diego, where it's 1st and 10. Brister, the safety valve, Foster. Foster getting away from Shelton enough to get the first down. Good effort by Barry Foster to the 36-yard line. He's trying to secure that job and take it away from Tim Worley when Worley comes back from a knee injury.
Well, I think in Foster, they've got a fullback that can do an awful lot of things. They'll use him as a running back, fullback. He can do so much. But Phillips comes up the middle, creates a situation where Brister has to go to his outlet. Brister does a good job backpedaling, getting the ball off. Foster catches it with his hands and makes good yardage. That was a great play by Brister, getting away from the pressure and getting something positive out of a possible loss.
It's at the 36 of San Diego, where it's 1st and 10 for the Steelers. 3 minutes left in the first half. It's all tied at 3. The pitch to Callaway. They try to seal off the right side. And Foster took quite a hit. Say out there, along with Henry Roby.
That's the great thing about San Diego's defense. They have got so many players that can run in the front 7. You know, Pittsburgh has a great defense. They were number 1 in the league last year, but they more or less do it with their linebackers and secondary. San Diego had a fine defense, but they have the great front 7. And that's the thing about their front 7 is they have great speed. Their Sayal runs from the inside right linebacking position, runs down Foster for maybe a yard gain. When you have a linebacker run down running backs, you've got a player.
You're right. It was a gain of a yard, Dan. 2nd and 9 at the 35-yard line. Foster slipping tackles inside the 35 down to the 33. Only 2 on that carry. Well, there was only 1 sack during the preseason as we wind our way down to the 2-minute warning for the San Diego Chargers. I talked to Bobby Beathard, their general manager, before the game. Had a great deal of concern because they didn't have that much penetration. We'll come back. We'll continue with that thought in my discussion with Bobby Beathard, but it looks like the defensive front firing very nicely in the early going so far against Pittsburgh. It is tied at 3 at the 2-minute warning. We have reached the 2-minute warning as we welcome you back to Three Rivers Stadium in Pittsburgh. Joel Myers along with Dan Hampton. And a big 3rd down coming up with the Steelers. They started this drive back at their own 20-yard line. It is now 3rd and long. They're 2 of 5 in 3rd down conversions. They're looking at a 3rd and 7 from the San Diego 33. Setting Chris Callaway in motion. Brisker out of the shotgun. Plenty of time and a man wide open. Callaway, touchdown Steelers.
Joel, as I was talking a few minutes ago about Brisker's arm, I said the coaches said, hey, don't worry about this guy. He can throw the football. Brisker makes a big-time strike to Callaway on that play. Gets back in the pocket. The pressure gets pressed by him. So he buys a little time, comes up, fires the ball. Brisker is one of the guys that gives you that dimension. He's able to get out of the pocket once in a while and still be able to throw the ball with some kind of velocity to it. Great play, Brisker.
Gary Anderson with the extra point. And it's the first touchdown of the game that belongs to the Steelers on the 33-yard touchdown pass by Bubby Brister to Chris Callaway. And a 10-3 lead for the Steelers. Gary Anderson kicking it away and waiting back Nate Lewis along with Donnie Elder. It'll be Lewis at his own goal line. For San Diego now trails by 7, stumbling his way across the 15. Good coverage by the special teams of Pittsburgh. And it's out past the 15 of the 16-yard line. So when we return, the Chargers down by 7. Will work their 2-minute offense with 1 minute and 49 seconds left in the first half.
Barcelona. It's in Spain.
Coming up at halftime, it's NFL Live with Marv Albert, Will McDonough, and Bill Parcells. And Bill Walsh will be joining Bill Parcells at halftime to talk about the 49ers-Giants rivalry. And, of course, that continues at the Meadowlands on Monday night. 1:49 left in the first half. Freeze. The Chargers have it 1st and 10 at their own 16. Over the middle, in and out of their hands of Anthony Miller at the 35. As Freeze took a shot from Aaron Jones, releasing the ball. Carnell Lake on the coverage.
Freeze getting a big shot here. Now, this is something a quarterback has got to expect. I mean, that's a welcome to the NFL by Mr. Jones. Getting his first start, like you said, he's going to be excited about getting to Freeze. When you see a quarterback overthrow time and time again, you're knowing that he's not confident, he's not throwing off that front foot. And that's what he was unable to with Jones in his face. It'll be interesting to see if he gets his confidence back and is able to go ahead and follow through.
2nd and 10, the ball at the 16-yard line. Pressure again. Freeze gets rid of it, and it's Nate Lewis grabbing the ball right at the first down marker. It'll depend upon the spot and the placement. Richard Shelton on the coverage. Clock moving, under 1.5 minutes left in the first half. And it is enough for the first down across the 26-yard line. They brought in their number 1 pick, Huey Richardson. He's on the left side, the down defensive lineman, number 90, the quick hitter. And the running back does not get much. They gave it to Ronnie Harmon across the 30 to the 31. It's 5, but now they'll have to use their first timeout of the first half. So the first of 3 utilized by San Diego. They've got 2 remaining. And they stopped the clock with 69 seconds left in the first half. Freeze and Henning get together, and we'll come right back to Pittsburgh. Earlier today on NFL Live, Bill Parcells talking about the San Diego quarterback situation, saying that John Freeze really isn't ready for this job. Will McDonough talking about the Falcons' number 1 pick, Bruce Pickens, should be in camp and ready to go, signed within 48 hours. And the Broncos trying to trade Bobby Humphrey for a first-round draft choice Gaston Green getting the start today for Dan Reeves and the Denver Broncos. Don't forget at halftime, Marv Albert, Will McDonough, and Bill Parcells, NFL Live, all the scores and highlights as Dan Henning has to feel fortunate to be down by only 7 right now. His offense hasn't done a thing so far.
Well, Henning, he knows that his quarterback needs some time, but, you know, he was talking about how they compare Freeze to Tolliver. He says, hey, they haven't got anybody that, you know, we need to compare somebody to Marino, Montana, a quarterback like that. So he's hoping for the best, but maybe brace for the worst.
Freeze throwing on 2nd and 6. And overshooting Nate Lewis, who was available at the first down marker. Had about a 5-yard cushion over on that side. Working on Rod Woodson. Stops the clock with 64 seconds left in the first half. Well, the one thing that Dan Henning emphasized when we met with him yesterday, he said there was so much pressure on the quarterback situation in San Diego. Billy Joe Tolliver or John Freeze or possibly even Bob Galliano. He said there was too much pressure. That wasn't their only problem. So you're putting that under a microscope, and they've got other areas they have to look at besides quarterback. Third down and 6 over the middle. He couldn't get it to McEwen. Good coverage by Carnell Lake, the strong safety. Former outside linebacker during his college career at UCLA. And now Rod Woodson told me yesterday everything's automatic now in the 3rd year for Carnell Lake.
Well, I think that Pittsburgh is doing a great job of pressuring Freeze into some bad throws, but part of that is the fact that the Steeler coverage has been very, very good so far.
Let's not forget, this was the #1 rated defensive unit in the NFL last year. John Kidd ready to punt it away to Rod Woodson once again, who's already had a couple of nice punt returns. The last one of 17 yards. Kidd sends out a beauty. Gets it to turn over the high spiral, and Woodson back at the 14-yard line. Woodson looked for the wall. It never developed, and he's put down at the 15. A 55-yard punt by John Kidd and Donald Frank, one of the first ones down there for San Diego. Pitt Panther Jerry Olszewski making the most of his start because he may not be in the starting lineup next week. David Little back in camp now. A holdout for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Their Pro Bowler of last year, an 11-year veteran. Olszewski getting the start today, though, and making the most of the opportunity. 3 timeouts left for the Steelers and 47 seconds left on the clock in the first half. With plenty of territory to cover. Back at the 15-yard line. Don't forget, second most accurate place kicker in NFL history, though, over on the sideline getting ready if needed. That's Gary Anderson. Merrill Hodge, the only one in the backfield, gets it in the misdirection. And Hodge spun down after a gain of 5 at the 20-yard line. Donald Frank making the hit out of the secondary. And the clock continues to roll, so the Steelers...
Well, I think the Steelers are just going to go ahead and burn the clock. They feel like carrying a lead into the locker room at halftime is what they have to have, and I don't think that it's important to put Brister into a situation where he tries to make something happen, throwing the ball deep, trying to score. They've got a long way to go, and I think they just want to put some pressure on San Diego. Let them go into the locker room behind and let them think about it for about 15 minutes.
So that will be the final play of the first half. Chuck Noll and the Pittsburgh Steelers have a 7-point halftime lead. A defensive battle in the early going between these two teams. And there's a man on the hot seat right now in San Diego, Dan Henning. A 12-20 record after his first 2 years as the Chargers head coach. We'll be right back to Pittsburgh. But first, let's go to NFL Live and check in for scores and updates now with Marv Albert.
All right, Joel, welcome back to our New York studios. Marv Albert with Will McDonough and Bill Parcells. First of all, in the AFC's big game of the day, as we check the scoreboard, Miami leading Buffalo 14-7 in the second quarter. Bill, what's going on here? Miami, many people thought would be blown out. Dan Marino coming off a very poor preseason.
Well, I think Coach Shula has elected to play it pretty conservatively. Mark Higgs, 80 yards rush in the first half. That's a pretty good first half for any back.
Well, you surprised?
Yeah, I am surprised because it seemed so lopsided before the game in Buffalo side of it because, you know, Miami had all these guys holding out, all their problems, you know. What it's showing is Buffalo cannot play well against the run. Here's a beat-up Miami offensive line A running back that's been cut from 4 teams 4 times, and they're averaging 5 yards a carry and moving the ball all over the field against Buffalo.
Of course, they're only second quarter. Elsewhere on the scoreboard, it's Houston leading the Raiders 16-0 in the second at Soldier Field in Chicago. The Bears over Minnesota 7-3. Harbaugh to Waddle, 37-yard touchdown pass play. In Denver, John Elway has thrown 2, and the Broncos leading Cincinnati 21-7 in the second quarter. Three River Stadium, the game that most of you are watching at the half. Pittsburgh in front of San Diego by the count of 10-3. We talked on NFL Live about the Chargers starting quarterback John Freeze, and he has struggled in the first half.
Well, 53 yards on 15 attempts, Marv. That isn't going to get you too many places. But he hasn't made the big mistake yet. He hasn't made. If he can keep from doing that, he's all right.
All right, Freeze 6 for 15 for the 53 yards. At Anaheim in the second quarter. Now, Phoenix had the excellent preseason 4-0, and they're off to the fast start. They lead the L.A. Rams by the score of 21-7. They are in the second quarter. Indianapolis, New England in front of the Colts by the score of 10-7. That is also in the second quarter. These are final scores. Earlier games, Superdome in New Orleans. Bobby Hebert holdout all of last season. Booed when he first showed his way onto the field, and it was New Orleans beating Seattle 27-24. A very difficult day for quarterbacks. Randall Cunningham hurt. Dave Craig suffering a broken thumb, and he'll be out 8 weeks.
Well, you know, the thing that disturbed me about the Seattle game was Dave Craig taking that penalty. You know, Seattle got it down to the 3-yard line. The last kick to tie it up and send it into overtime should have been like a point after. He got it pushed back. You know, as bad as the thumb was, all of a sudden he cost his team a ball game by doing it, I think, or a chance to win the game.
All right, rest of the scoring rundown. Kansas City over Atlanta by the score of 14-3. 6 Atlanta turnovers. Chris Miller intercepted 4 times. In the game that saw Randall Cunningham injure his knee, could be out for the rest of the season. Philadelphia beat Green Bay behind Jim McMahon by the score of 20-3. It was Dallas behind Troy Aikman, knocking off Cleveland 26-14. And the Jets over Tampa Bay off the field goal kicking of Pat Leahy. The final there was 16-13. Now, when we return, we'll be joined by Bill Walsh as we preview tomorrow night's big game at Giant Stadium in the Meadowlands between the 49ers and the Giants. That's right after these messages from your local station.
Welcome back once again to Three Rivers Stadium in Pittsburgh. The Steelers with a 7-point halftime lead over the San Diego Chargers. The big plays early, they were by the defensive units of the two teams. And for the San Diego Chargers, their cornerback, their great veteran Gil Byrd, taking the ball away from Louis Lips, his second interception of the first half. And that set things up for a field goal try for John Carney. He failed to capitalize. He did get one a little bit later in the first half. The biggest play, though, belonging to Bubby Brister. Going to Chris Callaway, Dan.
Well, Pittsburgh's wanted to get some more speed at the wideout into the offense. And here, you see Callaway just run away from the secondary. Makes a great catch. Brister needed that pass because he hasn't thrown a touchdown pass yet at this point in the season, in preseason or this game. So I think it has to do a lot for Bubby's confidence.
So for the first 15 minutes of play, I know my partner has to love it. A first half of play dominated by basically the defensive front seven.
Well, I don't think that's anything that's going to surprise a lot of people. Pittsburgh was number 1. San Diego was number 5. But I think that you feel like San Diego's offense feels an awful lot of pressure right now. Pittsburgh's defense is playing very well, but they think they've got to do something very quick or they're going to lose control of this game. They're close, but not close enough yet.
Chargers have to feel very fortunate coming out of the halftime locker room that they're only down by 7. So that pressure that you don't want to put on a young quarterback like John Freeze, down by 17, down by 24. They're not that deep in a hole right now. They're only down by 7.
Well, they talked yesterday about taking pressure off of him, and yet they go out and have a couple of motion penalties, some drop balls, and they create a lot more pressure for the young quarterback. So if they can eliminate mistakes and don't shoot themselves in the foot, they've got a chance to get back in this game.
Looking at the first half stats, almost identical, Dan. Very, very even.
The only difference in the stats probably is the pass by Bubby Brister. You can see a little bit more yardage in the passing game. But I tell you, San Diego is not out of this game. They've just got to make sure they don't kill themselves.
Time of possession, just about dead even. And when you look at the first half possessions, both teams had the ball 6 times, and the Steelers, they really didn't capitalize on great field position. The Chargers, you can see they started basically deep in their own territory early, then had the ball at their own 42-yard line, but didn't pick up a first down. Finally got a score on that long field goal by John Carney of 48 yards on their 5th possession. As we're underway in the second half, and Rod Woodson taking it deep in the end zone from John Carney will stay right there. Looking at the first 6 possessions of the first game of the year for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Starting with the ball at the San Diego 27, had to settle for a field goal, then at their own 40-yard line, their own 39, great field position, super territory. They didn't do a thing with it. Gil Byrd coming up with both interceptions. Then a punt, then a touchdown finally, getting the ball to the San Diego 35, that touchdown pass to Chris Callaway, and sitting on the ball for their final possession, getting the ball back at their own 15-yard line. In the first half of play, Bubby Brister, he's got a touchdown. That's news because Bubby in the offensive unit last year had to wait until the 5th game of the season before the offensive unit came up with a score, and it was against the same San Diego Chargers. So they start with the 1st and 10 their own 20-yard line. Deep, the give to Barry Foster, and he slides out to the 25-yard line.
Foster makes a great cut here, going to his left, seeing that the hole has been closed down almost totally, cuts back to the inside to his right. Foster 29 there, cutting away from Leslie O'Neal coming in on a slant charge. Makes some good yardage. He gives that offense that dimension, something they haven't had in quite some time, actually.
Barry Foster in his 2nd year out of Arkansas. That Arkansas connection. And 2nd and 5 now at the 25-yard line. Foster again. His 12th carry and close to the first down to the 30-yard line. And it is somewhat of a Razorback reunion when you look at Barry Foster, my partner in the booth, Dan Hampton, and George Stewart, the Pittsburgh special teams coach, Billy Ray Smith, the Charger linebacker, and the young man we're looking at right now, Barry Foster, who came out a year early last year for the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Well, I think it probably would be a more appropriate weekend to talk about the Razorbacks, especially after yesterday's game with Miami. But it's nice to see some old teammates from time to time. Barry really felt like he could be a big part of an offense in the NFL, so he came out a little bit early, and I think he's warranted that move by him. He gives Coach Noll the type of back that he has to make this offense go.
3rd and inches. Steelers hitting 50% of their 3rd down conversions. And believe it or not, they waste a timeout lining up incorrectly. They're out in their deuce formation, Dan, with a double tight end set. This is an offense that's basically geared towards the tight end. And surprisingly, with Joe Walton, who came over as the offensive coordinator last year, they have yet to throw a ball towards Mike Mularkey, Adrian Cooper, or the big one, their big tight end, Eric Green. We'll be right back to Pittsburgh. Steelers had to use a timeout, so they've only got 2 left now in the second half. And they use it. There's still 13:20 left in the second half, or 3rd quarter, as Barry Foster on 3rd and inches picks up the first down. So they had to use a timeout on a 3rd and inches situation. Now, last year, off to a very slow start offensively. It was the first year with Joe Walton as the new offensive coordinator. A new system, new terminology, Dan. This year, that can't be an excuse to point the finger at Joe Walton and the new terminology. They've had plenty of time, and he worked with Bubby Brister. He told us yesterday during the offseason, repeatedly looking at film.
Well, I think it's evident that Bubby has a lot better feel for the offense, and the rest of the players do too. I think your quarterback has to send out the signal, I know what I'm doing, just do what I ask you to do, and we'll be fine.
1st and 10 after the carry by Foster. Brister looking off the primary finally, and he's got a wide open Barry Foster out the backfield. He's inside the 35 of San Diego. He looked at Louis Lips for a long time, working on Gil Byrd on the near side. Finally gave up on Louis Lips and went to the opposite side.
Well, I think that shows you what off-season study can do. He knows that Louis Lips may get open, may go ahead and shake the cover guy. At the last second, he says, hey, get off of him. I know Barry's running a wheel up the sideline. Let me go to him. He just turns, throws the ball very nicely. Foster makes a big game. A
31-yard run and reception by Foster. He's been their workaholic today. He's also got 13 carries for 38 yards. And it's all the way down to the 32-yard line for the Steelers.
Well, we talked about that play yesterday, saying a lot of times those linebackers will give up on a fullback, thinking he'll just stop at the line of scrimmage. They ran Foster on a wheel up the sideline. Very effective play.
I can't believe it. Another mix-up in the formation for Bubby Brister and the Steelers. Another costly timeout. used with 12:01 left in the third, so only one left in the second half now for the Steelers. Confusion reigns right now on the Pittsburgh Steelers sideline. Offensive coordinator Joe Walton just talking before we came back to backup quarterback Neil O'Donnell. O'Donnell signals in the formation. They messenger in the play to Bubby Brister. The formation is sent in by the backup quarterback, number 14. That is where the confusion started. Bubby thought it was the wrong formation, and it looked like it was sent in on that hand signal from the sideline. Bubby Brister 7 of 10 so far for 114 yards. They've got the tight end they're looking for, Dan, and Eric Green. He is such a good one. But there has been a problem spot, finding a complement to Louis Lips on the other side, the wide receiver position. But the Steelers are addressing that situation now. They've gone to the youth movement at the wide receiver spot. Callaway, a fourth-round pick last year. He's got the touchdown. And this year, Jeff Graham and Ernie Mills. Graham, the rookie from Ohio State, and Mills, a rookie from Florida. So they're trying to find something to take that double up on the opposite side away from Louis Lips. Brisker with time, and Eric Green's available. Inside the 15, he fumbles it. Barry Foster's got it, though. And a first down inside the 15 for Pittsburgh. First catch of the year for Eric Green.
Big Eric Green had a sprained knee all through training camp. Has not really gotten a lot of practice time. Playing an awful lot in the first half. He just hasn't been able to show up. Now makes a big catch. Green coming from the left side. He's going across, running an isolated pattern on the linebacker. Gets open. And, you know, talking to Joe Walton, he says this guy could be one of the all-time greats. He runs like a wideout, moves like a running back, catches like a wideout, but he's as big as an offensive lineman. He's got all the tools to be a great package in this league.
And he's in motion right now on 1st and 10 to give to Merrill Hodge. Hodge can't turn the corner. Last year, it was week 5. The Pittsburgh Steelers struggling offensively when they got together with the San Diego Chargers right here at Three Rivers. The man in motion on that play, Eric Green. It was his first NFL start, and it was the first touchdown of the season for the offensive unit of the Pittsburgh Steelers. Relief for Joe Walton, the offensive coordinator. 2 TDs that day for Eric Green. He would have 7 on the season. Joe Walton said he's never seen anyone with that size with such fluid movement. He is a smoothie. And on 2nd and long, going up top, Lips had it go in and out of his hands, working on Gil Bird. He had a step on the cornerback.
I think Lips would like to make sure that he never does that again. He'd like to have another shot at that ball. But I think what you saw there was something that's pretty interesting. Down by the goal line, they've just got man-for-man coverage on Louis Lips. And you've got to think Brister thinks it's touchdown. Oh, no. That would have been too sweet a play for Brister. He feels like if he can avoid the confusion in the call and the play calling, getting it in, he's got enough tools now to be a very dangerous attack.
So now it is 3rd and better than 10. 3rd and 11 call with the ball back at the 13-yard line. This drive started all the way back at the Steeler 20. Whitestone goes in motion, and a quick pitch to Merrill Hodge. Can't get away from the pursuit down the line of scrimmage. And it was big number 97, George Hinkle, in his 4th year from Arizona. It's about a story, an 11th round draft choice, getting to the running back. Well, if you use a pitch, I would think you go to Barry Foster, who's got more speed than Merrill Hodge anyway.
You would think so. I think maybe that was a decoy play, but the thing with the San Diego defense, they are so fast up front. You know, if you talk about certain defenses, that some defenses are a pedestrian defense. That's a bunch of guys that's out there getting in the way. Not San Diego. They are too fast to be fooled. They got too much speed.
It's a 29-yard field goal attempt. Gary Anderson, and he is 2 of 2 on the afternoon after hitting a 38-yarder earlier for the first points of the season for the Pittsburgh Steelers. So Anderson has 6 of the first 13 for Pittsburgh, and now it's a 10-point lead for the Steelers over the Chargers. A 13-3 lead now for the Steelers over the Chargers. 10:07 left in the third quarter. Joel Myers along with Dan Hampton. We were just talking about the youth movement. Well, there's 2 that are going to play a big part in the plans of the Pittsburgh Steelers. Barry Foster and Chris Callaway to the left of your screen. The wide receiver is Gary Anderson. Booms it away. Nate Lewis will take it back a yard deep into his end zone. And good coverage. Only to the 15-yard line near the 16. And back to those 2 where you're just looking at that speed at the wideout position really can set things up differently now for Bubby Brister in the Steeler offense.
Well, not only at the wideout position, but with Eric Green, they've got a tight end that can get deep, can run. Barry Foster's fast. He can get deep. You know, you always hear about the old axiom in the league about how speed creates luck. Well, I don't know if that's true, but I know you have a whole lot more luck going deep if you've got people that can run. And I think that is something that the offense didn't have last year. The new influx of speed should only help the Steelers.
You had it in Chicago with Willie Gault at one wide receiver position. First and 10 at the 16-yard line for the Chargers, and Rod Bernstein gets the call. Breaking the tackle and taking it out to the 19-yard line, close to the 20, for a gain of 4.
I think it's important for San Diego to do something here on offense. They've got to establish the fact that they can score, whether it means pound it out, throw the ball to Miller or some of the big tight ends or the H-backs. Do something, maybe grind it out and try to stop some of this Pittsburgh momentum. Because I think San Diego might be in a lot of trouble if they turn the ball over very quickly.
2nd and 6, the ball at the 20 of San Diego. They're down by 10 with under 10 minutes left in the third. Freeze with time. The pocket holds up, going for Anthony Miller, and it's knocked away by Rod Woodson. That's a classic matchup this afternoon. Woodson, when Miller is setting up on the same side, because Woodson told us yesterday they're not going to adjust the defense to put him on the same side.
Well, Ron Woodson says with a young quarterback, or really with any other quarterback, you don't try to confuse yourself. Hey, we'll do what we do well. We'll get in the zone, do some different things, but we're not going to confuse ourselves. We're going to try to confuse the other quarterback.
The injured lineman, Broderick Thompson, of the San Diego Chargers in his 7th year out of Kansas. There were some concerns going into the season with that right side. David Richards, the right guard, and Broderick Thompson, the right tackle. They've got Mark May, who they picked up. 10th year, making a return back to the place where he played his college ball, the former Pitt Panther. And fortunately, it appears that Thompson's okay. Back to that Rod Woodson conversation, though, I thought it made a lot of sense. He says you don't want to complicate things and confuse yourself. Why would you go into a game with 20, 25 different defensive looks when you've got a quarterback that is going to have his own problems?
Well, a guy like Montana or Marino, maybe you can try to confuse a quarterback that's super at reading like that. I know we did that with Marino for quite some time back during the late 80s. We always had a lot of success doing some different things. But a young guy like this, hey, we'll put the rope out there and let him hang himself. So far, it's worked.
And it brings up a 3rd and long, 3rd and 6. The ball still just inside the 20-yard line. Movement on the line. No flags? Yes, flags into the air. As they had Ronnie Harmon wide. Did Keith Willis jump a little bit early? Number 93.
Big Keith had a linebacker come up and try to slap him and move him over.
Ball start, 5 yards, still 3rd down.
Well, he was drawn off. Willis made the first move, but he was drawn off by San Diego. They called it on the left guard, Eric Moten, 2nd-round draft choice, the rookie from Michigan State.
Looked like Willis was the guy that was offsides. You know, those big linemen, they run on a lean mixture. You don't want to have those linebackers up there touching them. They're liable to go off in your hand.
Better than 10, close to 11 yards. Tough spot for Freeze to be in. He's got a man wide open, and he overshoots Ronnie Harmon as he had Anthony Miller going down the sideline. No confusion. Pressure was coming. David Johnson, as for one of the few times so far today, the Steelers sent someone from the secondary.
Well, I think Pittsburgh is a pretty vanilla defense a lot of the time. They feel like with their coverage people, they don't have to commit and sell out to get a pass rush. They're content to rush 3, maybe once in a while blitz the safety up the middle like that. But more than anything else, they feel like their coverage is so good, they don't have to gamble.
John Kidd ready to punt from his own goal line. Rod Woodson is back at the 35-yard line. Returnable type, low-line drive. What can Woodson do with it? Up the middle he goes. Looking for a block, he gets it. Into Charger territory, another nifty return by Woodson to the San Diego 42-yard line. It's a great field position for the second offensive series of the second half. For the Pittsburgh Steelers, their first resulted in a long drive. They were stalled inside the 15. Had to settle for a field goal, but we're watching one of the very best in the game now at bringing it back.
I can't believe that I'm watching Ron Woodson play the game that he's playing. You know, holding out for a contract, coming in late, putting a move like that on a coverage guy. That's just natural ability. You can't coach that. He's got that great speed. He's got the great athletic ability to make cuts.
Dump off to Merrill Hodge. Blockers out in front. He fumbles it, and fortunately for the Steelers, it heads towards the Chargers bench out of bounds. They'll mark it down where he went down. They cannot gain yardage by the fumble going out of bounds. So they'll mark it back around the 39-yard line. And unfortunately for the Chargers, Junior Seau is down. Their brilliant linebacker out of USC. You were just talking about Rod Woodson. Boy, it looks like missing training camp really hurt Rod Woodson, didn't it, Dan? He just came in about 10 days ago after signing the richest contract in Pittsburgh Steelers history at $1.45 million over the next 3 years per season.
He's the type of athlete that can earn it, though. Well, watch this. Looks like number 20, Stones, gives a quick chop, almost a clip on Junior Seau on this play. You know, that's pretty much a mismatch, trying to have Stones block a headhunter like Junior Seau. Unfortunately, that he didn't get his head across in front. Seau really didn't see it coming, and could be something with the knee or maybe the foot. AstroTurf like this is very, very unforgiving in those type of injuries. You'll see there that it looks like his right leg just totally collapsed. Maybe the ankle, could be the knee. Either one's not good.
Hopefully, it'll only be a turned ankle, the way he came down on it in an awkward position.
That's what it looks like.
Don't forget tonight on NBC, the jokes on Fresh Prince of Bel-Air's Will Smith and Blossom's Mayim Bialik. On Super Bloopers and New Practical Jokes, then it's Expose and Real Life with Jane Pauley, followed by the NBC Sunday Night Movie. Knight Rider 2000. That all stars David Hasselhoff and William Daniels tonight. Only on NBC. So now it's second and just about 8. The ball outside of the 40 of San Diego. The Steelers in great position. Up by 10. Long count by Brister. Barely gets the play off in time. Moves the pocket and has Merrill Hodge for a first down inside the 30. Sam Seal getting into the hit, but very late. Bobby Brister enjoying that last call because it looked like he checked off at the line.
Well, I think Brister has the grasp of the offense where he can make those type of audibles. There he went ahead and run a bootleg. You saw they were overshifted to the right side of the field. He thought getting back out to the left side, getting some time, getting Hodge up through the middle, shifting out, making a good catch.
What a beautiful conclusion to the Labor Day weekend. Perfect day in Pittsburgh. Sold out crowd over the middle. Foster has a little bit behind him with a flag down on the play. Normally, where you see a holding call, Brister took quite a shot as he released the ball. He appears to be okay, though. And now the penalty.
7 offense, 10 yards, still first down.
It's a hold, a takedown, if you will. Carlton Hasselrig, the former NCAA wrestling champion.
Well, if anyone out there knows how to have a takedown applied, I think Hasselrig is the man, the big wrestler. You know, talking with Ron Lynn yesterday, he said, we think that we can work on Hasselrig, do different things. He's only been able to play, he's only started one game in the NFL. We're going to make him think. He's a big, strong guy, but if we can have some movement, change alignments, send different players at him, make him think, we think we can capitalize on his inexperience.
Did not play football at Pittsburgh Johnstown, a Division II school. He did play high school ball, but not in college, only wrestling. Brister throwing on second and first and long and finds Dwight Stone. He gets the penalty yardage back and then some outside of the 20 to the 22-yard line.
Louis Lips is going to learn to love Dwight Stone. This little guy has got some shake. He's quick. He's not scared of going into the middle of the defense with a headhunter. Safeties usually roam. Here he runs a real quick little turn in, gets underneath the linebacker coverage, and what that's going to do is enable Louis Lips to get on one man once in a while. He won't see the constant double team like he has for the last 5-6 years.
3 catches already for Stone. He caught 19 all of last season. That was his highest total over his first 4 years. Second now and 4. The ball at the 22-yard line. But the leg goes to Merrill Hodge, and he hurdles for a first down to the 16-yard line. The dependable one out of the backfield, Merrill Hodge, in his 5th year from Idaho State. He led the team in rushing last year. Not a quick back, just a very solid one.
Caught 40 balls. He's the type of all-purpose player that Chuck Noll really loves. One of those dependable diesels, if you will. The offense seems to be really clicking well right now. San Diego's been able to stop him at times, but seem to be a little bit off balance now by Brisker throwing and then, of course, the running game.
And good news, you saw Junior Seau back in there for the Chargers. Hodge tripped up at the line of scrimmage, falling for a couple at the 14. It'll bring up 2nd and 8. So a boost for Ron Lynn, the defensive coordinator of the San Diego Chargers, to get Seau back in there after only missing a couple of plays.
Looks like he's limping a little bit, Seau. Here you'll see him at his right inside linebacker position. Get up, take on Hasselbeck, the big guard, on a quick trap play. Fight him off, get back inside. That's the thing about Seau. He's so fast he can run down running backs, but he's strong enough to play inside against the 300-pounders.
2nd and 8. Ball at the 14. Time for Brisker. Over the middle, threw it into double coverage, and got a break that it wasn't picked off as Seau was diving for the ball, and it looked like he collided with his own man back there. And that was number 50, Gary Plummer.
But it looks like Seau is really favoring that right ankle. He might need to go ahead and get out of the game, maybe tape it up, because even though he makes a nice play on the ball, he's still going to put himself in a position to get a more serious injury if he can't protect himself landing like that. He's got the mentality, hey, if I can walk, I can talk, I'm going to get out there and do something about it.
Steelers 4 of 8 on 3rd down conversion, sitting at 50%. As Stone goes in motion on 3rd and 8. Pressure coming with Grossman. It's overthrown. They wanted Hodge. Frank and Elder were right there on top of the situation. And the most potent offensive weapon of the Pittsburgh Steelers during the preseason is back in there once again to try to get 3 points for the Steelers. And that's Gary Anderson, their place kicker, who's already 2 for 2 today.
This guy's been unbelievably dependable for so long. One of the great class guys in the league.
He's in his 10th year out of Syracuse. Signed by the Steelers in '82 after he was waived by the Buffalo Bills. 5'16".
Look at that face. Looks like a choir boy.
Up in the third.
He's a deadly choir boy, though.
It's a 31-yard try. Straczynski moved the ball just before the place kicker Anderson got into it, but they were in sync. And Anderson now 3 for 3 as the Steelers increase their advantage over the Chargers. So a little bit better than 5 minutes left in the third quarter, and the Steelers now lead it by 13 over San Diego. Looking at the 10-minute ticker, Miami has a 10-point lead at Buffalo, where the Bills have been so dominant over the last 5 to 7 years now. Raiders trailing by 9 at Houston. The Bears with a 4-point lead. How are we going to live with this guy? If Chicago starts out hot, and they usually do, they're up by 4.
The Bears.
Denver is doubling up on Cincinnati. Those Bears. And Phoenix with a 14-point lead now for the Rams, while New England continues to surprise Indianapolis. Don't forget, next Sunday, it's an exciting NFL doubleheader on NBC. It all starts at 12:30 Eastern with NFL Live. Steelers, their tough defense going up against Jim Kelly and the explosive Buffalo Bills. As the kickoff by Anderson into the end zone. Another touchback as Nate Lewis was back there. Don't forget the second half of the doubleheader, though. San Diego going into Candlestick Park to take on the 49ers. It's a Wild West showdown, so check your local listings. It all starts with NFL Live at 12:30 Eastern, right here on NBC. Rod Woodson has set up a couple of great drives with outstanding field position. The last time the Steelers had the ball, it was at their own 43. John Freese in San Diego cannot say the same. They have not enjoyed the great field position. As now they get it once again at their own 20-yard line. A 16-3 lead for Pittsburgh. Bernstein on the play action. Freeze with time and a wide open Arthur Cox. He got away from Hinkle, the linebacker, and he's got a San Diego first down. Got to look to the linebacker, or rather the tight end, when they can isolate him on the linebacker more often.
Well, Arthur Cox does a great job of trying to run away from linebackers. You know, he's such a big guy. He's playing around 270 pounds now. But he's a load with good feet. He can block, he can catch. But something I think he really needs to do this year is give a lot more leadership. Talking to John Freese, he thinks that Arthur Cox is the guy they look to for leadership. He says we're almost as young as like an expansion team. So they look for Arthur Cox to make some big plays, to be a big leader, too.
Bernstein on 1st and 10. Shedding tacklers and staying on his feet. Tough yardage. He gets 3 on the carry.
It reminded me of a Rocky movie. Fighting it all the way to the end.
Well, you talk about fights. Keith Willis said to us yesterday, we can't look at this like a prize fight, where the first round or the second round of the fight, you feel your way through it. He said, we've done that the last couple of years, and we've had these rotten Septembers. We have to deliver a knockout blow early. And Keith Willis would know. He's one of the real veterans on this team in his 9th year now.
Well, I think if you look at the AFC Central, you'll see the team that gets out in front early usually wins it. So they want to get out fast.
4 yards. They give Bernstein on the carry with Cox in motion. 2nd and 6. Pocket holding up nicely. It's Cox again, or no? The 8th-back Derek Walker. And he's got it a couple of yards short of the first down, about 3 short of the marker, brought down by Greg Lloyd.
Free's been able to get some time. Running game has seemed to keep Pittsburgh from really trying to put the pressure on him. That's what you've got to have as a young quarterback. Use all the horses around you. Hitch up their wagon. Don't make yourself carry the whole load. Here he's throwing the ball pretty accurately, getting it to the players that need to have the ball.
Key 3rd down now. 3rd and 3, quick snap. He just needs 3, and he gave up on whatever was available downfield early. He's short of the first down. He loses a yard as he keeps it, and he's dropped at the 45-yard line by Donald Evans. It's interesting. Chuck Noll told us yesterday he considers the sack to be somewhat overrated. Do you agree? Because he said you can get turnovers and other good, positive things defensively from hurries.
Well, I think that the sack, as a defensive stat, is really overrated. Who gets a sack is inconsequential. That right there was caused by great coverage in the secondary. No one really beat anybody on the line of scrimmage. But I think as an offense, the sack is the worst thing that can happen to you outside of a turnover. It can stop a drive in a heartbeat.
Kidd ready to punt again, back to Rod Woodson, who waits at the 10-yard line of the Steelers. And he's going to throw the ball in the fake. No. They'll kick it away. That's one way to take Woodson out of bringing it back. But Woodson tries anyway and takes it outside of the 20.
He's back.
Up to the 22-yard line.
This guy is unbelievable today.
There's a flag down. I think they may have left a little bit early on that one.
Well, I think maybe the outside guys released on time, but some of the interior blockers didn't realize that he was going to go ahead and punt the ball. It was a call fake.
Number 50 of the kicking team, ineligible downfield, 5 yards, still 4th down.
Well, whatever John Kidd had in mind did not work. Gary Plummer can't be faulted.
Even though Pittsburgh has scored 16 points, you can't really point a finger at the San Diego defense. They have played pretty good football today.
They've been on the field most of the 3rd quarter.
Well, that's the thing that some of the guys on San Diego was talking about. He said, if we can just get our offense to give us some time to rest, because San Diego likes to penetrate. They like to attack the line of scrimmage. Ron Lynn has been known for that style of play. And we've seen it today. Even though Lee Williams is in Houston and they're trying to overcome that void that he created by his trade, they've still been pretty effective. And I'll tell you what, when you've got a guy named Grossman, you've got a guy named Junior Seau, Leslie O'Neal, all lined up side by side, you can give a lot of offenses sleepless nights.
Kidd will punt it once more. This one off the side of his foot, a wobbler away from Woodson. It hits the Steeler. It was down there on the special teams. That was the rookie, Sean Vincent, rookie out of Akron.
Great heads-up play, getting the ball back once he felt it hit him.
Break after a 44-yard punt, a break for the Steelers. And most of the breaks in the second half have gone their way. So Pittsburgh, leading by 13, gets it back at their own 16.
You know, they talk about strange bounces in the game of football. That is one of the ones that you could try to kick that ball the same way 1,000 times. It never would. He's trying to get position on his man to block him, give Woodson a crack. The ball hits him. That's the only thing that a smart player would do.
Foster cutting it back nicely against the grain. Into the secondary. Gilbert trying to run him down and yanks him out of bounds in San Diego territory.
You know, you talk about the great Steeler tradition of running the traps and the blunts. Here you'll see what they call the blunt play. They get everyone going one way, and the back makes a great cut back to the outside. Foster, now look at this. Foster is pulling away from Gilbert, a cornerback. That is what the Steelers need, a new dimension of speed. They're getting it from Foster and some of the young receivers, something they haven't had in a long time.
He's out of bounds at the Pittsburgh 49. Foster now with 70 yards on 14 carries. He busted his biggest one of the day on the last play as Lips goes in motion. This time Merrill Hodge cutting it back. They wanted to go right. He turned it back left. Up the middle it goes. And sizable yardage again. A gain of 8 by Merrill Hodge. Now they're starting to win the war of the trenches.
Well, when you get behind late in a game like this and your offense has been so stagnant that you really can't feel like you're going to get something positive on that side of the ball, you try to create something on the defensive side. Now you're seeing some of the San Diego players over-pursued, trying to do something, make a great play. Unfortunately, what they're doing is creating alleys for the runners to cut back and eat up big chunks of yards.
Second and a couple at the 43 of San Diego. Again, it's Hodge. Breaking tackles for a first down inside the 40. Down to the 37 of the Chargers. Well, it's a 13-point lead now for the Steelers. Let's find out what else is going on around the NFL with Marv Albert.
All right, Joel, another quarterback has gone down in Buffalo. Jim Kelly re-injured his left ankle and was replaced by Frank Reich. The severity of the injury not known. Reich moments ago throwing a touchdown. Buffalo trailing Miami 17-14 in the third quarter. Joel?
Thank you, Marv. Dan, is this a point where you can really frustrate a defensive unit, wearing them down in the trenches, just slamming the ball at them with a ground game?
I think what Bubby is doing is great. As far as if you're a Steeler fan, you want to see an offense that's diversified here. He thinks they've been able to pound the underbelly of the San Diego defense. He goes back, throws a quick strike with a quick look in. That is the thing. Those defensive linemen, they don't know whether it's run or pass. The corners don't know whether to force or to drop off. And after a while, it starts wearing on you, and you just start wondering about next week's game. You lose sight of this one.
Bobby and the Steelers dominated the third quarter as the offense finally came alive. They only had 6 points on a couple of field goals from Gary Anderson, but they have started to control the contest. It has to be encouraging for former head coach of the New York Jets, Joe Walton, the new offensive coordinator. He took over last year for Chuck Noll. Encouraging that the system is starting to sink in with the necessary components. Right now, the Steelers rolling once again. This drive started back at their own 16. They've got a 1st and 10 at the Chargers 26. Play action. That's what Bobby Bristol wanted to go with. And he underthrows Whitestone as Eric Green was wide open over the middle. As Gilbert almost had his third pick, but Eric Green is jumping and leaping into the air because he was really upset that he wasn't even looked at.
Eric Green getting out quickly, running back on a quick post pattern, wide open. He's got to think, Bubby.
Have to look up the primary.
Easy, big guy. You're going to hurt the turf there. Here, just a poor read. Gilbert has done a great job of reading Brister's eyes today. That's what you look for in a defensive back. Not only can he run and cover, but he's got to be smart and know to look for the quarterback eyeballing a receiver. Bird could have had his third pick.
The delay to Foster. Dive to the 20-yard line for a gain of 6. But it goes back to what Bubby Brister told us yesterday because of the 1st and 2nd year safeties that are employed, Richard and Shelton for San Diego. He wanted to go with more play action than they possibly normally use because they thought the safeties would be biting on it. There you see the formation being signaled in to Bubby Brister from O'Donnell, the backup quarterback, and he had a sensational preseason. He wanted to take the starting job away from Bubby Brister. But Chuck Noll said nothing doing. There is not a quarterback controversy here.
Well, I think you're seeing the Pittsburgh Steelers gain an awful lot of confidence here this second half in what they're trying to do offensively. You can just see it in their faces. They can't wait for the next snap.
It's at the 21 at San Diego where it's 3rd and 6. The motion, Dwight Stone coming over, trips to the right side. Brister on the tiny play to Stone, and just off his fingertips. So Gary Anderson will try to make it 4 for 4 on the afternoon. He's already hit from 38 yards, 31 yards, and 29 yards.
Well, here you'll see Brister just go for broke. Thinking that if Stone just gotten all the balls that he could possibly get so far today, you're thinking Stone is feeling like he can outrun these guys. Gilbert, fine cornerback, but not the fastest guy in the world, thinking that he can outrun him to the corner of the end zone and get the football.
It'll be a 39-yard attempt for Gary Anderson out of the hold of Dan Straczynski. Money in the bank. The second most accurate place kicker in NFL history hits again. And he is now 4 for 4 on the afternoon. So 12 of those points on the board for the Steelers from Gary Anderson's right foot. Chargers trailing the Steelers by 16 as Gary Anderson gets ready to kick it away once again to the combination of Elder and Nate Lewis. It'll be Donnie Elder this time at his own 4-yard line. The coverage has been sensational today, but the Pittsburgh Steelers continue to be that way. The linebacker making the play for the Steelers, Gerald Williams. The heat is on in San Diego right now, Dan, on Dan Henning. And when I asked him yesterday, does he feel the pressure? Does he feel the heat? He said, I feel just like a player does, that it could be gone tomorrow. And a coach is very similar to a player's position. That Gilman was fired, Tom Landry was fired, the best are fired.
Well, he said there's two types of coaches, those that have been fired and those that will be fired. So I think he understands the aspect of that pressure. But the thing is, he's done a good job of developing young players. The core of the ball team is second, third, and fourth-year players. He thinks if he could buy another 2 years, he could win a championship.
What he likes the most about the young man we're looking at now, John Freese, he says he's very level, he's very balanced.
Not a whole lot of highs, not a whole lot of lows, and that's what you look for in a quarterback.
You've got to get those grabs, though. Those short passes. Anthony Miller drops that one.
Miller, one of the finest players at his position in the league, and yet I know that he wants to play very well and help John Freese out, but that is the type of thing that has to dwell on Freese's on composure. You've got to think that he's hoping that all of his players around him can help. He can assemble the cast and try to give them the direction and get the ball to them and let them make things happen. But when they have drops, when they jump off sides, when they have fumbles, it only wears on the quarterback, because ultimately that's the position that feels the heat the first.
Young man from the Big Sky Conference, the University of Idaho. They threw the ball regularly. Freese on the dump off to Bernstein. It's read very well as the flag is down on the play, but the Steelers defensive unit, it only goes to the 20-yard line. On 2nd and 10, they get a yard on the pass play.
Talking about Dan Henning, he thinks that maybe he's just a couple of players away. He'd like to have an established quarterback, but, I mean, where are you going to get one, Joe?
There aren't too many out there available.
Well, you know, I'd like to have a better-looking face, but where am I going to get one of those?
But an illegal use of hands to the face against the defense. 5 yards, first down.
Looks like somebody else's face was getting a restructure.
So a break for San Diego. They get the down over. Actually, they get an automatic first down up to the 24-yard line. Time is running out, though. 19-3 lead for Pittsburgh. And under 13:25 left in the fourth and final quarter. 3 timeouts left for the Chargers. The Steelers with 1 remaining. Up for Freese. He wanted Lewis. David Johnson batting it away. Perfect timing by the cornerback. Johnson was one of the most pleasant developments for the Steelers last year. After Delton Hall went down in the opener, he started the next 15. Went to Male High School in Louisville. Talk about a great school for basketball players. Turned out some good football players as well, like David Johnson.
Pittsburgh defense is playing very, very confidently right now. They really feel like they have San Diego's offense untracked. They're backing up and then breaking up and making big collisions with the receivers, going for the ball whenever possible.
2nd and 10 now. Chargers on 24-yard line. Pressure coming. It's batted into the air and falls incomplete. Greg Lloyd again applying the pressure there. Plenty of help as well up front from Gerald Williams and Aaron Jones. Let's look back on the way things developed in week number 1 of the NFL season. New Orleans, a late touchdown pass by Bobby Aver to beat Seattle. Atlanta losing on the road at Kansas City, while Philadelphia shot Green Bay by 17. And other finals in the early games. The Jets, a long field goal from Pat Leahy for a 3-point win as Dallas won on the road. In the third, Kelly's back in the game. Good news for Buffalo Bill fans. And they lead it by 4 now after the Dolphins had an early lead. And Houston running away now from the Raiders. As the Rams are only down by 7, and look what Denver is doing to Cincinnati at Mile High Stadium. 3rd and 10. Freese with the pocket holding up. Has time and has a man, Miller. It's a first down across the 39 to the 40-yard line. Finally, they hang on to one for Freese.
Well, I'm glad to see that Freese is keeping his composure, buying a little bit of extra time in. Here you see Miller running a long, deep, quick in. That takes about 4 seconds to develop. You've got to have good blocking.
Flags on the play. Freese getting it off, and it's off the hands of McEwen. Going to Nate Lewis, he couldn't hang on to it either. A couple of Chargers touching the ball on that one. Gerald Williams applying the pressure, though, on the blind side of the quarterback.
Offside, number 57 of the defense, 5 yards.
No wonder Gerald Williams got him on the blind side.
Well, it's kind of easy when you get kick-started there, jumping a little bit early. But you'll see Freese standing tall in the pocket. That's what we used to look at when I was a defensive lineman, is how quick we could get the quarterback to patter those feet, to get nervous.
You talk about standing tall. That's one of the first things Dan Henning brought up, that Freese is 6'4", almost 6'5", as opposed to Billy Joe Tolliver, who was just 6 feet. I had problems seeing over those big trees.
Well, not only the defensive lineman, but his entire offensive line is very, very tall, 6'4" and 6'5".
First and 5. Give goes to Ronnie Harmon. Harmon to the sideline for a first down and more. Griffin bumps him out of bounds at the 30-yard line. Make it the 32 of Pittsburgh. A 23-yard carry for the former Iowa Hawkeye.
Harmon not getting the ball very often in this offense, but when he does, he makes something happen. Very, very fast player. Bounced it outside, ran away from the linebacker. Had to wait for the safety to come up and get him.
He's considered their third down specialist. Whenever he touches the ball, it seems like it's for 20 to 25 yards. That one went for 23. And the give now to Marion Bucks, his first action of the second half. He takes it for a couple to the 30-yard line, tripped up by Hardy Nickerson.
San Diego looks to have a little bit of a second wind here. They're trying to make something happen. They know if they don't do it now, the game is probably out of their hands. So it's great to see them rallying here. Freese keeping his composure, staying cool in the pocket.
They still need 2 touchdowns, though, just to make a game of it. They're down by 16. 11 and a half minutes left.
Awful lot of time, though. And you have someone like Anthony Miller anyway.
Seconds and a long 8. Pocket holds up for Freese for Miller. It's complete inside the 15. Hardy Nickerson was right there, but his back was to the quarterback and the ball that was arriving in the hands of Miller. Miller's taking a couple of shots now over the middle. Last one from Griffin, that time Nickerson.
Well, that's the thing about playing a 2-deep safety, 2 deep zones with the 2 safeties standing back, playing center field. If you catch the ball inside, you're going to pay a price.
Right now, Anthony Miller paid the price on the last one as we come back to Three Rivers Stadium with the Steelers up by 16. Fortunately, Anthony Miller appears to be okay. Headed over to the San Diego Chargers bench. We'll check him out, but he did make it over there under his own power as he took it in for the first down. Best drive of the day, no doubt, for the San Diego Chargers and their fans. It started back at their own 19-yard line. Now they've got it first and 10 at the Steeler 12, looking for their first touchdown of the afternoon. Their only points coming from a field goal from John Carney. Marion Bucks wrapped up before he almost got out of the backfield by Gerald Williams. He falls down to the 10. A little bit better than 2 yards on the carry.
On a play like that, it seems like it takes so long to develop.
Yes.
That you need a quick slashing back. Butts more the big power runner inside. It'd be a lot better to run a play that is more of a blunt right at those guys rather than trying to pull big linemen and seal and have cut off blocks. And so many things can go wrong in a play like that. You want a quick guy to get through them.
Call it second and still close to 9. Bernstein is going to throw the ball. He's got a man wide open. Touchdown, Nate Lewis. Lewis went up to get it, knowing David Johnson was going to cut him underneath.
You gotta love it. That is sweet.
Razzle dazzle, the first touchdown of the season for the Chargers. Bernstein to Lewis.
Freese does a great job keeping the ball, faking the keep. Here, Bernstein gets outside. Lewis just gets behind the safety. That's an easy 6, babe. You gotta love it. Looks like a little arena football there.
Carney on for the point after. And we may have a game of it before it's all over, partner. 10 minutes and 10 seconds left in the fourth quarter. Don't forget, San Diego still has all of their second half timeouts remaining. And now the Chargers are down by 9. Nate Lewis with the touchdown reception. It capped an 81-yard, 9-play drive. And the pass from Rod Bernstein. Good-looking play that faked out the cornerback completely, David Johnson. And Carney ready to kick it away as the Chargers come up with their first touchdown of the season with 10-10 left in the fourth. And welcome back once again to Three Rivers. Joel Myers along with Dan Hampton. Woodson will bring it out 3 yards deep in the end zone. And diving across the 15. He is torpedoed at the 16.
Down by Frank.
And another look back at the deception. A great play by the Chargers.
First and 10, Pittsburgh ball.
Bernstein takes the ball deep, goes right. Steelers all force, thinking it's going to be a run. Bernstein just raises up, lobs it up like an alley-oop. Nate Lewis makes a great grab. He gets up so quick. Here you'll see a great move. He'll probably have David Johnson probably have to go see a chiropractor after that move. But does a great job getting some hang time. Looked like a little Michael Jordan on that play.
Ball to the 16 for the Steelers. First and 10, and Brister ready to throw. Looking one way, coming back the other way. Pressure, and he goes down. The Chargers finally get to Bubby Brister. That is their second sack of the afternoon. One more than they had during the entire preseason. And Bert Grossman, the former Pitt Panther, is injured and down right now.
Well, it looks like Grossman probably got the sack, but it was Leslie O'Neal that forced Bubby Brister up into the pocket, banged an extra step or two for Grossman. You'll see Leslie coming from the outside on your right, picture 91. Here, Brister has to stop, reverses field, giving time for Grossman to get up to him. That is what San Diego does well. They love to get a team in a situation where they really feel like it's going to be a pass because they've got some horses that can rush the quarterback. Not as great against the run, but they love to rush the quarterback.
It looked like he landed a little bit in an awkward position on the right arm.
Well, if you'll see, Brister was coming back with a couple of linemen in front of him. Grossman hit about 1,000 pounds of flesh there. A lot of times, the old body gives up on a situation like that. You'll see a big wad of people here coming back at Grossman. So there's an awful lot of force there.
Looks like almost he hit the elbow, the right elbow.
Second down.
But Grossman off for one play.
A curtain call for the homeboys here.
The former Pitt Panther, 20 sacks over his first 2 years in the NFL. Nice compliment to the other side for Leslie O'Neal. Foster running past the 10 to the 12. So when we come back, it'll be a third and long situation for the Steelers, who lead it by 9. But an update once again from NFL Live and Marv Albert.
All right, Joel, in Buffalo, Jim Kelly made it back from an ankle injury, and he got right to it, combining with Thurman Thomas on this 50-yard reception to give Buffalo a 21-17 lead over Miami. Now in the fourth quarter, the Bills at one point down, 14-0. Back to Joel and Dan.
Thank you, Marv. This is the biggest play of the entire game now for the San Diego Charger defensive unit. The entire third quarter, they were on the field. They've got to be a tired group, but now it's third and long. Third and 13 with the ball at the 13. Brister working out of the shotgun. Pressure coming. Brister's got Louis Lips, and he's got the first down across the 27. Brister really felt it, though. It's been a bad day for quarterbacks. Cunningham, also Kelly. Dave Craig fractured his thumb.
It looks as if it was George Hinkle coming around the back door. You'll see Bubby gets back in the pocket. He's buying time, looking, waiting for the pattern to develop. It's Leslie O'Neal.
And George Hinkle. It's a sandwich.
That is a double with cheese, folks. You don't want to be in the middle of that sandwich. The thing about quarterbacks is you think that they get an awful lot of money and they don't do a whole lot of things to earn it. But you can't believe the amount of force that those guys take in a pocket hit like that.
Bobby Brister last year suffered bruised ribs in the game against the San Diego Chargers.
Well,
Rick Strom had to finish it.
It's like going out and standing in front of a 20-mile-an-hour car and letting it hit you just standing there. You don't feel it coming. Some quarterbacks can sense it. Looks like Bubby never felt it coming. You'll watch the whip-like action of his head.
He's like a Kelly. He's like a warrior, a thick quarterback who can hang in, but nobody can take a shot like that, Dan.
If you take too many shots like that, you'll be selling pencils on the street corner in about 5 years. That is not good for a quarterback to take. You know, and you got to think the guy's a tough guy. Some quarterbacks would have a medic out there and have him airlifted out. But Bubby's the type of guy that...
You believe it. He's up.
Oh, and this is the thing that makes a bunch of guys on the team rally behind you. You'd love to see a guy take a shot like that, get up and walk away just for health purposes. But you'll see him there. Bubby says, hey, I'm fine. Let's go at him again. He'll have to set out a play, but I'll bet you he comes right back.
He threw a couple of picks in the first half, both taken in by Gil Byrd, but he told me yesterday, he said, I plan on having my biggest year ever. He's coming off statistically his best season ever last year, as Neil O'Donnell, who had a great preseason, takes over at quarterback. And on the carry, nothing doing there for Barry Foster. Let's also remember that it is the final year of the contract of Bubby Brister, so doubly important for Brister to have a big year.
Well,
the backup we're looking at, Neil O'Donnell, second year from Maryland.
Well, I think a lot of times that new contract, last year my contract, that gets a little bit in the way sometimes, but I think Bubby is very focused on the fact he wants the team to be successful first and foremost.
Loss of a yard in the carry. Second and 11. The ball at the 26-yard line. Off the fingertips, the intended target, Louis Lips, throwing into double coverage. They're checking with Bubby Brister to find out if all the faculties are there right now.
I can hear him now. There I was in 5th grade. Jeez.
You are tough. You are tough, partner.
Look, I've been on the giving end of those hits. I would not be in the league as long as I was. I wouldn't have been if I had to take some shots like that. It's a tough way to earn a paycheck.
It brings up 3rd and 11 with the clock stopped. Chargers are down by 9. They give to Hodge. Can't break tackles. And on 3rd and long, they went to the ground game with a backup quarterback and will give the ball back to the Chargers now. Anthony Shelton, the strong safety, coming up to make the hit. It's one of the things the Chargers and Ron Lynn, their coordinator, likes to do. He likes to take chances.
Well, there and again is the premise of the San Diego defense. They love to get in a position where they can attack the line of scrimmage. They've got very talented front people. They've got talented linebackers. Even though Junior Seau is out right now, Billy Ray Smith came in, and he's the type of player that you can win an awful lot of games with him.
Straczynski ready to punt it away to Nate Lewis. And he barely gets it off and sends out a very high one. A fair catch called for, and Lewis will give the Chargers solid field position for a drive where they have to come up with another touchdown with 7:06 remaining. A 41-yard punt, no return. And another look at the painful one for Bubby Brister and Pittsburgh Steelers fans.
You'll see Bubby, a lot of times, the great quarterbacks would always buy extra time. You saw the Bradshaw for the Steelers, Montana. You can see sometimes buying that extra time buys you a lot of trouble. He's got a concussion. It looks like he will not be back. They've got a 9-point lead with 7 minutes to go. I wouldn't put him back on the field unless I had to.
From the 33, Freeze going deep. He's looking for Sean Jefferson. Did he come down with it? No. Intercepted by David Johnson. Taken away by the quarterback. They did not blow the whistle. Yes, they did finally. After a moment of indecision by the officials, Johnson with a pick back at the 21-yard line.
Joe, we've talked about how they wanted Freeze to let everyone else help him win the game. They made a great drive on the last series by pounding it out and throwing control passes. Here, he tries to go for the home run, gets him back in a hole again. They needed to make something happen on that drive, even if it was a field goal. Now, the momentum has swung back to Pittsburgh's side.
So the Steelers have it back to their own 21.
Play action buys him an awful lot of time. Looks like the ball got hung up in the air a little bit. It started wobbling.
Lake and Johnson both on top of the play.
You can't pick on a great defense like that. Sooner or later, it's going to bite you.
Great penetration by the defensive front of the Steelers. Bert Grossman, the first one in there to slow down Merrill Hodge. What the Steeler fans ought to realize right now is if their offensive unit just takes a couple of more minutes off the clock, they've basically put it away. If they can get it down to about 4 minutes left before they give it back to the Chargers.
Well, you have to think that Ron Lynn knows that, and he's going to try to blitz. He's going to try some movement. He's going to do some different things and try to create a turnover here.
Miami taking the lead over Buffalo once again. And look at the one on the bottom. New England, what a surprise, up by 6. Trying to give Dick McPherson a win in his first NFL game. The head coach of the Patriots. Foster goes in motion on second and does it. O'Donnell with those happy feet overshooting Louis Lips. He never planted.
Well, I think that you'll see that in a lot of young quarterbacks, and that's one thing Freeze has showed today. He has the composure to go ahead and do the basic things, keep the fundamentals together. Here, you'll see in the replay, O'Donnell gets back. He sees that he can't go to his right. He goes back to his left, but he throws off and falls away. A little bit timid of that pressure. But once you've seen your starting quarterback carried out on the platter, all right, even though Bubby got off the field, it starts weighing on your mind. You want to get rid of that ball. It's a hot pill to swallow.
So down to the third and long for the backup quarterback, Neil O'Donnell. Young man from Madison, New Jersey, third-round draft choice last year. He never took a snap last season, but was dynamite during the postseason. And throws it behind Louis Lips as Gil Bird not the Gil Bird, but Donald Frank almost had the interception. It would have been the third of the day for the San Diego secondary, a group that led the AFC in picks last year with 24.
You'll see Lips trying to get out. They run a corner blitz. Lips slips a little bit, destroying the timing, but that pass would not have been where he could have caught it, even if he wouldn't have slipped. Donald was under serious pressure because Ron Lynn, the defensive coordinator, knew he had to make something happen. He brought a corner blitz, and he got home.
And by throwing the ball twice on those 3 snaps, there's still 6:01 left on the clock as the Chargers are ready to get it back and almost get to Straczynski. As Nate Lewis is calling for the fair catch at midfield and has it right there. A 30-yard punt for Straczynski as Hendrickson almost got to the punter.
You'll see Hendrickson flash in on the right side of your screen. He's what they call their special teams ace. Kind of a kamikaze guy, makes a lot of big plays for him there. He almost made the biggest play of this very young season.
So the Chargers are down by 9. 3 timeouts left, 5:53 left in the game. Bubby Brister, suffering a mild concussion, will not return to the contest as Butts is the single set in the backfield. Play action, they missed the handoff. A busted play and a loss of a yard. I'm almost surprised we are seeing that for the first time today with a first-year quarterback in there, Dan.
You talk about how inexperience will kill you, and Bud Grant used to say all the time, for every rookie or first-year player that I start, I expect to lose a game. Even though Freeze has showed great composure today, he's had a couple of miscues. On the last series, trying to go up top on that play there on the first down, a very crucial down on this drive. He bobbles the handoff, has to take a no gain. So
last picture of frustration for Dan Henning. 2nd and 11. Freeze. His H-back drop to Derek Walker. Well, looking back on that busted play, it can't help Freeze that Marion Butts has only been in camp since this past Monday. Their timing not exactly all together. Tonight, super bloopers and new practical jokes, followed by Expose, The Real Life with Jay and Pauly. Then it's the NBC Sunday Night Movie Knight Rider 2000. That's tonight only on NBC. You were about to say, partner.
Well, you talk to the San Diego people, they say, we got to become more consistent and not shoot ourselves in the foot. Well, for the last 3 years, they've been pretty consistent. They've been 6 and 10. And until they get over these mistakes and practical jokes and bloopers, they're going to be 6 and 10 again.
Freeze now 10 of 26, 109 yards. He's had 1 interception on that last series. And here on 3rd and 11 to the sideline, and Sean Jefferson's got it for the first down in front of Rod Woodson. Bobby Beathard told me before the game, the young man, and he was a 9th-round draft choice of the Houston Oilers. He came over in the Lee Williams trade. He's as quick as Anthony Miller, and that's saying a lot.
Bobby loves Jefferson, thinks he's got more speed than any receiver on the roster, except maybe Miller. But here you'll see Freeze does a great job letting letting him push the cornerback off and then make the little quick out move, going up, catching the ball, getting the feet down inside. Late in the game, those simple things are easy to forget. It's great to see some of these young guys keeping their composure and doing the things right.
Well, the Chargers came up to the line, weren't together, didn't have the right formation, and Freese had to call a timeout. We remind you this telecast is presented by the authority of the National Football League and is intended for the private use of our audience. Any rebroadcast or other use of this telecast without the express written consent of the Pittsburgh Steelers and the NFL is prohibited. And this game is the property of the National Football League, Pittsburgh Steelers, and San Diego Chargers. All rights reserved. Well, what a key third down for Freese. On 3rd and 11, he converts to Jefferson. Now they've got a 1st and 10 inside the 40 of Pittsburgh. And still plenty of time.
Well, you're talking about how Freese has done a pretty good job of keeping the offense moving here in the second half, even though he doesn't have Butts at full strength. Butts was a holdout, and it looks like he's not back into the flow of the offense. You know, a lot of coaches treat holdouts like a virus, so it may be a while before Butts gets his regular job back, but he would have been a big asset for Freese to have in the backfield today.
He stays right behind John Freese on 1st and 10. From the Steelers' 37-yard line with Arthur Cox in motion. Pocket holding up well once again for Freese to look at all the available options, and it is the H-back Derek Walker near another 1st down, brought down by Jerry Olszewski.
We talked at the outset of the program today, Joel, about how this guy gives him great accuracy and great composure, and I can't tell you how impressed I am with him. He's buying time. He gets back. He sees there's no immediate danger as far as a pass rusher, so he pulls it down and gets it to Walker across the middle.
They're just short of the 1st down. Second, less than a yard.
John Freese is growing up very, very rapidly today and doing a great job of growing.
Butts on the carry. Weaves his way for the 1st down. He's just inside the 27. The chains move. Brian Hinkle made the stop. But unfortunately for the Chargers and their fans, under 3:50 remaining. They've got 2 timeouts left. Steelers with 1 timeout left. The difference in the game right now, the right foot of Gary Anderson. Every time a drive stalled for the Steelers, Anderson came through 4 field goals today. And that one that Carney missed early in the game, a short field goal, looming large now. Otherwise, it'd be a 6-point difference. Freese on 1st and 10 with a pump fake. And off the fingertips of Butts. It wouldn't have gone for much anyway. Olszewski right on top of the back of the running back.
Well, when Miller went down, they more or less lost the deep passing game. And not only that, they lost the fact that they can count on someone being double-teamed.
Right.
What that enables the Steelers to do is go ahead and man up on everyone. And it takes a lot longer to get somebody open. It takes a while to uncover in a double deep zone. So when Miller went down, a lot of the deep passing game went with it.
Clock is stopped, 3:20 remaining. 2nd and 10. The ball just inside the 27 of Pittsburgh. They double up on the near side. Send the H-back in motion in that direction. On play action, Freese moves the pocket. For the 1st down, he's got a receiver, Nate Lewis. And it's complete inside the 15. Another Charger 1st down stops the clock.
Great execution there by Freese, getting out to his left, making a strike to Lewis. It looks like Broderick Thomas, the big right tackle, is leaving the game. He's got a little bit of a leg problem, it looks like.
Well, originally they wanted to take him out, but he said, no, I'm okay. So Mark May is back to the bench. Anthony Miller, though, is staying out with a deep thigh contusion.
They've done a remarkable job of keeping that Steeler pass rush off of that young quarterback Freese. He's been hit a couple of times, but more than anything else, they've done a pretty darn good job of keeping him off of him.
1st and 10 from the 14. Rod Bernstein with a huge hold inside the 10, down to the 8-yard line. Pushed down by Thomas Everett, the free safety. Along with David Johnson, the cornerback.
If you're a Steeler fan, you've got to think, what's wrong? The Steelers are stopping him early. Well, what it is, as you see there, it's like a counter OT. They pull a couple of guys from the back left side, lead them up through the hole, and those 300-pounders have now started to wear down the Steeler defensive players.
2nd and 4 from the 8. Concern on the face of Chuck Noll. Ronnie Harmon. They love to throw it to him in the flat. Freeze into the end zone. He wanted McHugh in the H-back, and it was wide of the intended target. Carnell Lake providing the coverage on that play. So the clock stops with 2:34 remaining. It brings up a 3rd and 4 at the 8-yard line. One interception thrown by John Freeze, and that was on the deep ball. He tried to get to Sean Jefferson after Miller had already left the game. Now Bernstein departs. Jefferson back in there.
All in all, if there is a controversy about the quarterback in San Diego, there shouldn't be, because Freeze has done a darn good job today. His teammates haven't helped him as much as they said they probably would like to have.
3rd and 4. Pocket holds up for Freeze. Over the middle, it's Harmon, and he can't pick up the first down. He's stopped near the 5. Short of the first down by just about a yard. Brian Hinkle made sure he did not get to the marker. So now, with a flag down to the play, what's it all about?
It's hard to say.
Looks like it's going against San Diego.
Unable to get anybody uncovered in the end zone. Even there, you'll see double coverage on Harmon. That is what a guy like Miller can do for you, even though he doesn't catch the ball every time.
Holding number 53 of the offense, 10 yards, still 3rd down.
Even though he doesn't get the ball every time, he can take that double team off of his teammates.
Courtney Hall called for the hold, the center. Dan in his 3rd year from Rice. So they'll have another try at 3rd down, but now 3rd and 14.
Actually, that didn't really bother San Diego that much. It would have been 4th and 4 or 3rd and 14. That's another shot at a TD instead of maybe trying to go for almost a sure field goal.
Can they convert on 3rd down? Pressure on Freeze, and overthrows Harmon. McEwen also in the neighborhood. Pressure again, though, from Huey Richardson, the rookie, the 1st-round draft choice from Florida.
Well, when they drafted Huey, that's what they wanted him to do, be able to get to the quarterback in 3rd and long. So
now they don't have a choice on 4th and 14. Had it been 4th and inches, 4th and a yard, you could have possibly gone for it. But you need more than a touchdown anyway. See if Carney can come up with a field goal. It'll be a 36-yard try. He missed from 36 earlier in the game. Does he push it to the right? No. It's just inside the right upright. We'll keep it right here, as it's now less than a touchdown difference. And when I say a touchdown, of course, I'm talking about a touchdown and an extra point. A 35-yard field goal officially. And a 6-point lead now for the Steelers, as the last 10 points of the contest have come from the San Diego Chargers on a touchdown pass from Bernstein to Nate Lewis. And the field goal by John Carney. 2:14 left. San Diego with 2 timeouts remaining. The Steelers with only 1. And the man under the microscope now for Pittsburgh, their backup quarterback, Neil O'Donnell. If you joined us late, Bobby Brister took a shot. He was sandwiched between Leslie O'Neal and George Hinkle. Left the game with a mild concussion. Will not be back, so it's up to the 2nd-year man out of Maryland now, their 3rd-round draft choice last year. As Joe Walt diagrams the next sequence of plays for O'Donnell. Don't forget Notre Dame football. Big part of college football since way back in the 20s. Now it's on NBC Sports. All the excitement gets underway next Saturday when the Indiana Hoosiers visit South Bend to battle Lou Holtz, the Fighting Irish, and their head coach. Coverage kicks off at 1 o'clock Eastern with Notre Dame Saturday.
I just think that Dan Henning has to be proud of the way his team has hung in there and fought. You know, bringing a rookie quarterback into Pittsburgh against the #1 ranked defense and to be within 6 with 2 minutes to go, it shows you that he's done a lot of the right things as far as keeping the personnel.
They were looking for the onside kick that never developed. Dwight Stone in the end zone gathers it in. It's a touchback. They will get a break because after one play, it'll be the 2-minute warning, so an automatic timeout for the San Diego Chargers. Now they don't want to put too much pressure on O'Donnell. They want to get that ground game going to pick up 1 first down.
Well, I think Ron Lynn will counter with a very, very attacking type of a defense. We saw the corner blitz on 3rd and long a minute ago. He's going to do something to make sure that Pittsburgh does not get a first down. Pittsburgh gets a first down, they practically win the game. So he's got to make it happen right now.
Don't forget the San Diego Charger defense last year, one of the best in the NFL at creating turnovers. 1st and 10 from the 20. Merrill Hodge, who rarely coughs the ball up for a yard. He does lose it, but it was stripped after he was already down at the 21-yard line. You and Dent and your other partners, the Fridge up on the line for the Bears, you never tried to rake the ball away, did you? Not much.
Well, we've done a little bit more than rake as far as our efforts to try to create a turnover.
As you can see, Hodge was already down. A minute 59 left. The 2-minute warning with the Steelers clinging to a 6-point lead. On the first play after the 2-minute warning, a carry for Merrill Hodge and a flag down in the play. There is a penalty after the 5-yard gain by Hodge to the 26-yard line. And it goes against Pittsburgh. That is the last thing they needed, Dan.
Holding number 29 of the offense, 10 yards, still 2nd down.
Because they don't want to make O'Donnell throw the ball deep in his own territory.
San Diego lives so vicariously on turnovers. Their offense was able to score an awful lot of points because the defense created opportunities last year. They're hoping it can happen again.
So now it's going to be 2nd and long. 2nd and 20. Ball security of the utmost with it back at the 11-yard line. Hodge, the only one in the backfield. Callaway going in motion, and O'Donnell will throw the ball with pressure coming. He's going to have to run it. And he heads to the sideline, stopping the clock once again. Going out of bounds at the 16. He needed to slide down.
He needed to get down. There it is. One of those things you talk about experience in a quarterback position. He would have got down. He would have probably burned 20, 30 seconds off.
Instead, a minute 45 left. And in each week, in all of our games, we'll be featuring the Canon Camcorder replay of the game today. We've got a couple of replays for you. First of all, the razzle-dazzle, the touchdown to late Nate Lewis from running back Rod Bernstein. That was the first touchdown and the only touchdown so far for the San Diego Chargers. And then the one you can feel all the way back at home. Hinkle and O'Neal on Grossman, or rather on Bubby Brister, as he suffered the mild concussion.
Migraine or yours? Joe, did you get that one?
A penalty flag down. That's why I lost it, buddy. I had to hit the cough button.
It looks like Bubby's fine, but that was a vicious pop. Looks like he got whammed instead of a defensive lineman. Wow.
Yeah, the wham play the wrong way for Bubby.
Yeah, it didn't work so well for him.
Penalty against the Steelers. Bringing up 3rd and 19 now. Mark off of 5 yards.
A place that Chuck Noll would not want to be if he had his druthers.
O'Donnell throwing with pressure coming. Dumping it off. Stone's got it. Stone has the first down, and he's down the sideline. He can run. The Steelers wrap it up. The Chargers sent just about everybody from the secondary, and they got burned.
After the touchdown, we have an unsportsmanlike demonstration foul on Pittsburgh, number 20, throwing the ball in the stands. 5 yards on the kickoff.
The block downfield.
You'll see this. Ron Lynn, the defensive coordinator for San Diego, knew that was the play. He had to make something happen. He sent 6 guys. Unfortunately, the screen killed him. Stone slipping out to the right. It was a great call by Joe Walton.
And let's not forget about the block downfield by Louis Lips.
Great block by Lips.
It's already the first down. It turns into the touchdown because of the block by Lips. He took 2 out on the same block. An 89-yard touchdown.
When you live by the sword, sometimes you'll drop it on your toe. There, San Diego feeling like they had to make something happen. It blew up in their face.
Former sprinter in college, a running back in college, converted to wide receiver, Dwight Stone. Do you think O'Donnell liked it just a little? Knew it all the time, right, Neil?
Well, you got to be happy for the Steelers. They felt like this was a very important game for their season. You don't want to start off 0-1. San Diego, they don't want to start off 0-1,
but it's a home game for Pittsburgh.
And not only that, they have talked so much about how they were ineffective so much early in the year. Can they come out quick? Chuck Noll said going into training camp, our biggest competitor is our own mind. Well, it looks like it's a mind over matter situation now. They've got it going their way.
Joe Walton and his offense that had to wait for a touchdown until week number 5 last week with 26 points on the board today. Let's not forget, though, they stalled frequently inside Charger territory. Gary Anderson bailed them out with 4 field goals. That was the second longest touchdown pass in Pittsburgh Steeler history, an 89-yarder. It only traveled about 20, but who cares?
We could have a new quarterback controversy.
And did we possibly do our Ken and camcorder replay of the game a little bit too early? 90 seconds left.
It looks like our exposure was a little bit short on that.
Anderson kicking it away to Donnie Elder and Nate Lewis. The line drive effort into the end zone. So the Chargers back at their own 20-yard line with 2 timeouts and a minute and a half remaining. Down by 13, 26-13.
John Freeze has got to feel like somebody just told him his dog got run over. Being so close. If his defense was to come up with a turnover, he had a chance to be a hero.
And thanks to our great crew up in the booth in Pittsburgh, Tim Fogarty, Mike McGinley, George Jordan, and J.D. Wilson, who always do a sensational job for us. It's out of the 20-yard line. The Chargers with 5 of their first 7 this year on the road, Dan. And when you've got a rookie quarterback, that may not be all bad. You don't have that kind of pressure that you would normally have at home with the fans booing you.
Well, Tolliver was under an awful lot of pressure. I'd hate to see Freeze put under that same microscope so early. I think this kid has got an awful lot to bring to the offense. Give him time.
Sean Jefferson hit as soon as he took it in. After a gain of about 4 yards. The hurry-up offense. Not enough hurry-up out there for this offense right now. Flags into the air on 2nd and 6. It's McEwen on the reception. Short of the first down with another flag on the play as Kenny Davidson came in a little bit late on the quarterback, I believe. Or was he held in the process?
It looks like it should be offensive holding. Either that or someone jumped.
We have multiple fouls on the defense. 97 offsides. That penalty is declined. Roughing the passer. Number 64, 15 yards. First down.
So it is on Kenny Davidson. 2nd-round draft choice last year. They've spent a lot of high draft choices on defensive linemen like Vesey, a 3rd-round pick last year, and now Huey Richardson, their number 1 this year.
Well, right there, that may look a little flagrant, but when you come around the corner as a defensive lineman, you're trying to get that leverage. You're trying to get that arm under that offensive tackle and rip up. You're looking at the AstroTurf. You just know the quarterback is going to be about 8, 9 yards back there. That's what your target is. You don't see that the ball's gone.
Sounds like a former defensive lineman to me.
Well, I plead my case.
1st and 10 to the 45. All I can say is I'm glad you're not my attorney, buddy. Harmon on the reception is bumped out of bounds. Stops the clock. A couple of yards short of the first down. 51 seconds remaining in the contest. The executive producer of NBC Sports is Terry O'Neill. The coordinating producer of NBC's football, John Baratsis. And our game today produced by Glenn Adamo, providing us with the great pictures, and directed by John Gilmartin. Our associate director, the incomparable Doug Graber. And our technical director, the ever-steady Jimmy Johnson. A couple of yards away from the first down, 2nd and 2. One of those guys on my side the rest of the year. Lewis takes it in. What a pop from behind. The extra defensive back who was in there picks it up. And that's Kevin Smith, the rookie from Rhode Island. We've seen some unbelievable hits today.
When I think back about this game later in the year, I'll think about an awful lot of hard contact. A lot of hits. You'll see right here.
Wham!
Thomas Everett, the free safety, one of the biggest hitters in the NFL out of the secondary.
Everett is the type of player, he lives for that shot there. He sees the whole thing develop in front of him like a video game, and then he just puts his head down and tries to separate the ball from the receiver.
Now they're calling it an incomplete pass.
Oh, I don't see how they can call it incomplete. That was a catch.
At this point, with 37 seconds remaining, it's an incomplete pass. 3rd and 2 for Freeze, and the Chargers down by 13.
They need to pick this up. A little bit more time.
And Ronnie Harmon with the first down into Pittsburgh territory. They've got 7 in the secondary, so it's easy to pick up the first down on the ground. And don't forget, next Saturday, it all starts from South Bend. An exciting time for everyone at NBC Sports. The Fighting Irish of Notre Dame and their 6 home games on NBC this year. It all gets started with a 1 p.m. start. Notre Dame Saturday. And don't forget, next Sunday, a doubleheader on NBC. It all starts with Pittsburgh, Buffalo, Cleveland, and New England. Check your local listings for the game in your area. And the second game of the doubleheader, the Chargers on the road at Candlestick Park, taking on the 49ers. And the 49ers, don't forget, on Monday night, taking on the New York Giants at the Meadowlands. And that long winning streak on the road on the line for the San Francisco 49ers. Super bloopers, new practical jokes, expose, real life with Jay and Paulie, and Knight Rider 2000, all coming up tonight on NBC. And still more scores on the 10-minute ticker. Buffalo up by 11 late in that contest. Houston rolling the LA Raiders. Your Bears, Dan, by 4.
The best.
Denver. That is the surprise of the day in my estimation. Denver all over Cincinnati. The Rams lose it by 10. There's another shocker on the bottom. New England and Indianapolis. And I would have thought that with Dickerson in camp and everybody there as Ronnie Harmon drops it, a little dump off from Freeze, it would have been a good start. Jeff George at quarterback for the Colts. Didn't turn out that way. Cinderella story for Dick McPherson. A 3-point win for the New Orleans Saints over Seattle. As in that game, Dave Craig suffered a fractured thumb. Kansas City by 11 after trailing by 3 at the end of the first half. Got it together in the second half. Philadelphia lost Randall Cunningham. He was carted off. Down by 17. They lose it by 17. A 12-point win on the road for the Cowboys. 2nd and 10, flags into the air. And Freeze has Nate Lewis. Lewis doesn't want to go down. He's inside the 20 to the 18-yard line.
Looks
15 seconds left.
Gerald Williams jumped on that play.
57 defense, offside, penalty decline, first down.
Good call. It was Williams in his 3rd year from Purdue.
You know, talking about Jim McMahon coming in and rallying Philadelphia past Green Bay today, it looks like we'll have another run on sunglasses here this week.
What about headbands?
Let's hope not. I got plenty for anyone that wants one.
1st and 10 from the 18. McEwen on the perfect throw over David Johnson from Freeze. He had to get it over the cornerback. And that stops him with 8 seconds remaining.
You know, this may just look like an exercise in futility to a lot of fans, but this is great training for John Freeze. He's a very young guy, has not had an awful lot of opportunity to run a 2-minute offense. So this is something that he will benefit in game 2, game 8, game 15, or whatever game that he gets in that he has to move the team late in the game.
Steelers use their last time out to get ready for the touchdown drive by Freeze and the San Diego offense. The ball's at the 10-yard line. Time for one more, maybe 2 more. If it's a quick one. We have just learned that Lou Holtz moments ago disciplined the 3 players that were involved, and they will not be suspended. If you heard the story about the players that were picked up in South Bend, Indiana by the local police, they will not be suspended. They've been reprimanded and will play next Saturday for the Fighting Irish of Notre Dame. And that's a very important story, obviously, because it involves the starting quarterback, Rick Mirer. So the Irish with Meyer next week right here on NBC Sports, Indiana and Notre Dame.
Well, you know, I played for Lou Holtz, and he had a policy: if you're arrested, then you're automatically off the team. I think that that's a little bit strict, and especially in this situation. It looks like there really was no problem with the players.
Movement on the line, a free down for John Freeze. And he throws the ball away. Little love tap at the end of the play for Freeze as well.
Defense, offside, penalty is declined. Roughing the passer, number 93 defense, half the distance to the goal. First down.
So, Keith Willis, I was talking about that love tap. Number 93, roughing the passer call. Willis told me yesterday, we got to go for the knockout punch early. Can't feel like a fighter feeling our way through the first or second round. He's been delivering a few blows all day long.
It looks like he went for the knockout punch on Freeze very late. He's a fine player. Watched a lot of film at Pittsburgh, and he is the class of the defensive line.
So first and goal with 2 seconds left. McEwen in motion. And a touchdown to Sean Jefferson. His first in the NFL. Another demonstration penalty. Really upsets your day, I know that.
Well, I think my heartbeat is racing right now after all these demonstrations. I don't know what to say. You know, I don't think that this is something that you should be charged or assessed a penalty for. I think that's taking a little bit out of the game.
Demonstration foul on the score. It's disregarded because the time has run out, and there will not be a kickoff, but we will try the point.
Thank you, Jerry Austin, our referee today.
I don't think he approved of the Cabbage Patch move there.
So John Carney for the extra point, and it is all over in Pittsburgh as the Steelers win it by 6.
It's going to be a long flight back out to the coast for those guys.
Chuck Noll looking for Dan Henning. When Dan Henning was a player, Chuck Noll an assistant with the old Los Angeles Chargers back in 1960. We'll be right back to Pittsburgh.